What is going on, people? We are Tottenham TV, back here for the preview stream and the review stream from the Rangers game. And obviously, like I said, preview for Southampton on Sunday. 7 p.m. kickoff, a bit of an awkward time. Strange time on a Sunday. We've also got...
Do we know why that is?
I'm not sure. There's 2 games at 7 o'clock on Sunday.
No, it's peculiar. It's not like a scheduling at this time of year or something.
Is it an Amazon thing? I don't know. Is it
Maybe.
On Amazon? I don't know. But yeah, obviously Sim came back from Glasgow early hours of the morning. He was in the away end last night. So I guess let's start there. Like, what was the vibe like in the ground, outside the ground? How was your trip?
Everything was great apart from the football, I think.
As it always is with Tottenham away
Classic
days.
Spurs away in Europe. But no, it was really great being up in Glasgow. Obviously, Ibrox is one of those stadiums I think everyone, really wants to be. It's still got like that aura of like a classic old school stadium, but it's big. It's like 50,000 and it was rocking and the fans are bouncing and it was a really electric atmosphere. You can see the crowd are really up for it. Their crowd, I should say. I think the Spurs away end was a bit flat, to be honest. Wasn't much to shout about. We got going a couple of times, but when we're battling against the Ibrox cauldron, it was a tough battle. I think it's fair to say, and I think Rangers, the fans, it was obviously as well as the game went. I think they had more to shout about, it's fair to say, than Tottenham, who were just pretty tepid throughout most of the game, and it wasn't a great performance from Spurs. We didn't really seem up for it, and I think maybe Rangers fed off the crowd, or maybe the crowd fed off Rangers. Either way, they were reinforcing each other, and it was extremely loud, and it was a really, really electric atmosphere, and they had loads of flags, they had loads of scarves flying around. It was something to witness. It was something. It was cool to see in a way, but obviously being there in the away end and hoping for Spurs to do something in this game and trying to cheer on the team as best as possible, it felt like we were fighting a losing battle at times.
It's a bit disappointing to hear that, because I feel like away ends, no matter how the team's playing, should be backing the team and supporting the team and singing the songs. I remember...
I don't think we weren't singing. It's just, we were drowned out every time.
But like, we were drowned out at Galatasaray, but I think it was non-stop at Galatasaray from the Spurs fans, and no matter what the opposition were doing, and I feel like that's the way it should be, So it's a bit disappointing to hear that the away end was a bit flat. Would have been different if I was there.
I'm sure.
Look, it was a disappointing performance, or more than disappointing on the pitch. It was a terrible display for the most part, apart from about 10 minutes in the last stage of the second half after the subs happened. I felt it was shocking. However, the end result doesn't exactly leave us in the worst situation with 1 point outside of the top 8 with 2 games left to play, which I want to get in. We'll get into the standings in a bit. So like, the bigger picture in terms of this result, it's not the end of the world, but the performance just carries on basically what we've been seeing over the past however long it's been, 2, 3 weeks, 4 weeks maybe. It's just not good enough. It really isn't. And we talk about players being out on their feet, really tired. The same players keep playing, getting overplayed. But even players that haven't been overplayed, the likes of Timo Werner, and some other players on the pitch yesterday, just not at the races. We'll get into the comments that Ange made about Timo after the game.
A lot of getting into this stream.
There is a lot of getting into, so when are we actually going to get into it? But, look, I just felt like it was just a shocking display. Rangers completely outplayed us for the majority of it. First half was just classic. It was just classic. Just Spurs giving the ball away needlessly, trying to play out the back. Bissouma kept giving it away. Bissouma was shocking. Timo was shocking. Bentancur, I thought, was probably our best midfielder in the first half. Pedro Porro, I don't know what he was doing. Destiny Udogie, I thought their right winger, Cherney, I think it was giving him such a torrid time. But most of their attacks were coming down the left-hand side with Pedro.
But to be fair, that first half, I don't remember too many chances they had. As much as they were looking dangerous, they had that one chance. I think Cherney had a shot at the near post from which Fraser saved with his feet. I don't remember too many other real chances they actually had.
They were just dominating, though, weren't they?
Yeah, they were the better team.
No control, whatsoever.
We didn't create anything, did we?
No, nothing.
was it Maddison's free kick? No, we had that one chance. I think it was given offside anyway, where I think Timo plays it in and Brennan has a shot that was saved. I think
he was anonymous as well once again.
That was right at the end of the half, but I think that was given offside anyway. I don't remember too many shots on goal we had. Maybe it was one from a corner. We were pretty much...
I think the reason being for that as well was because of Dragoshin and Archie Gray. Like, Archie Gray was winning everything in the air in that first half. I was so impressed with him. And Radu Dragusin, you know, he was kind of guiding him through the game. And they formed quite a good partnership throughout the game, I thought, Radu and Archie. And
Archie was composed and he did well.
He did very well. And, you know, what we've said about Archie a lot is that he's, like, really nervy from the start and he, like, grows into the game. But I thought he performed and showed up in the first half as well, Archie. So I was really impressed, and it kind of plays into like the Vicario Forster narrative, how everyone's so worried about Vicario being injured. Fraser comes in and plays really well. It was very similar with Archie.
Yeah, I think he came in. A lot of people worried about him, and he was very composed. He was with the ball at his feet. He was able to get the ball on the floor and just make sure that he kept the ball ticking over, and he was winning his duels. And I thought he did really well in very, very testing, trying circumstances. I got to give him a lot of credit. So fair play to Archie Gray. Forster, as you as well, made some real crucial saves.
Save right at the end.
Bloody hell, that was a big save. I think in a way, obviously they didn't create much in the first half, but when they scored, it was obviously no surprise. Like,
it was coming.
You definitely felt they were going to create a big chance and get a big moment. But all I was saying is, you know, in that first half, for all their domination, they didn't do much. But again, they also resting players as well. I mean, I don't know what Rangers' first team is.
They rested players because they got cup final against Celtic.
Yeah, they got a
weekend.
cup final, so they weren't playing their strongest team. Obviously, I know Tavernier, he played, and he's their best right back. So I know for sure he's one of their best players. But I know I've read after that they weren't playing their strongest team, so maybe they had a bit of lack of quality. But they just seemed more aggressive, winning the second duels. That was the thing, 50-50s, they were coming on top. And we couldn't get the ball in their half. And we needed something to change badly at half-time, which obviously we brought on Deki. But I have to say, I don't understand the thinking of why we brought Deki on, which is fine, but then we're playing three forwards out of position. We played Son up front, Deki on the right, and Johnson on the left. I don't get that. Why not just, if you're going to do that, just play Son on the left, Deki up front, and Johnson on the right. It's so simple. But he goes that way at the start of the second half. I didn't understand that whatsoever.
The whole first half, I was sitting here and saying, we need a presence up top, because we were actually trying a couple of long balls and no one, you know, we couldn't gobble anything up because it was a real lack of presence up front with Son there. We needed a Dom Solanke or even a Will Lancashire. I was saying one of them has to come on.
Lancashire started against Galatasaray and he scored. I know he got sent off, but, you know, that... What was the reason to not start him in this game? It can't have been as an intense
atmosphere. One of them had to come on, right? And we tried this Brennan Johnson on the left thing against Bournemouth, right? And we said at the start of that game, this isn't going to work. He always looks uncomfortable on the left. And then when the game's on top of us in the second half, I don't understand why he's trying that again when there are many other options that he could have gone for.
On the pitch as an option. You literally have an option on the pitch. You play Deki up front, you play Son on the left, and Johnson on the right. It's right there in front of you. There was no excuse not to go with everyone in their favoured position. It just looked... I don't know why that was the case, why he did it that way. It made no sense to me. The only reason I can think of is he was determined for some reason to get Deki on the wing, and that's the best way he saw going forward. But I don't understand. Deki's played up front before, if you're going to go that way. He's played in the centre. And he's done a decent job at times. So if you're going to bring Deki on, then do that. Also, as I was saying, Will Lancashire, I don't understand why not. You're going to rest Lanky, which is fine. I think he does need a rest. You know, he works so hard. I don't have a problem with that. But Lancashire's played against Galatasaray. He scored against Galatasaray. That was probably an even more intense atmosphere than Rangers. So what was the reason to not play him? Is it because you don't feel he's ready? Well, when he's played, he's looked like a threat, I think. And I thought against Galatasaray, he scored and I know he got sent off, but he was a bit of a handful. He put himself about.
And let's be honest, it's lesser opposition than Galatasaray.
Yeah, so... And he's obviously a bit more of a physical presence than Sonny up front. You know, if it's because you can't say it's because you don't want to put him in an intense atmosphere, because you've already done that, and I won't say he passed the test because he got sent off, and obviously that wasn't great. But I thought in general he gave them a tough time, and he did get a goal. So I think that would have been a perfect opportunity to put him in from the start.
Yeah, but also it's on top of that. You're 100% right in what you're saying, but on top of that, we're bemoaning players playing the whole time and being overplayed, and the injury crisis is already stretching us as a squad. But these players that he doesn't want to give a go to have barely played any minutes, and surely they'll be fresh and chomping at the bit to come in. Yeah, look, he's a 19-year-old. He's inexperienced, but we've backed him to be part of the squad this season, Will Lancashire.
Exactly. If you've kept him around, and play him. You've kept him around for a reason, isn't it, to give him chances? And I thought when, we played against Ferencváros, we played against Galatasaray, and so I was thinking, okay, he is giving him some chances, and this would have been a perfect opportunity to throw him in again and see how he does. And again, if it doesn't go right, just like it didn't go right, you've still got Solanke there to come on anyway, and it would have been the same result. All that would have happened is you just give Lancashire more minutes. Son up front, I know he did a good job last year, but this season he doesn't seem to be up to it whenever he's playing in that position. I think maybe is it because we're just used to having a presence up there? Maybe last season we didn't really know what it was like, and now we do, and we're just so used to having that Solanke presence that we're always looking to have a striker in the forward line to kind of hold the ball up, and Son's just not able to do that at the moment.
To be fair though, like second half of last season, I mean, I think he did really well in the number 9 for the first half of the season, but second half of the season we did kind of kept bemoaning the lack of presence that we had in that position. So I think it is kind of more of the same. Maybe it is a bit worse, but yeah, we just need a presence up there. And Timo Werner, man, like, he was so shocking. Got dragged, hauled off at half time, not for the first time this season either. I felt like in the first few minutes, he was actually looking really dangerous. He got the beating of Tavernier once. He was seeing a lot of the ball in the first 10 minutes. And then after that, it was so shocking. Every time he got the ball, it was incredibly bad. Like, really incredibly bad. There was one time, Fraser Forster plays an unbelievable ball over the top to him.
Beautiful.
Unbelievable. And I was like, Fraser, where'd that come from? And he literally just runs it out of play once again. And how many times are we going to sit there and watch Timo Werner just literally just run it out of play for no apparent reason?
Even when he was playing all right last year, he was still doing that. That's just like a staple of Timo Werner. If he's on the pitch, he's going to run it out of play at least once a game, and it came at a really bad time, obviously, yesterday. I want to just touch on Forster just quickly on that pass, because, to be fair, he's shown that ability to do that drop kick pass a few times now in a Spurs shirt in recent weeks. So fair play to him. Like, a lot of people criticised his ability to play out the back, and I still think when the ball's on the floor, he doesn't look completely comfortable. But that drop kick pass, clearly he's capable of pulling that off, and that was a beautiful one right into Timo Werner's path. And Timo, a German international, a player who's won the Champions League. Anyway. He's a German international. He's had how many caps he had? He's had a lot of caps for Germany.
When was his last cap?
I don't know, but he still had a lot of caps for Germany, and he can't control a football. It's ridiculous. And I guess maybe we'll talk about Ange's comments at the end. But
no, let's talk about it now. Let's talk about it now, because I felt like it was strange for me for Ange to come out like that. As much as Timo wasn't good enough, I didn't think Ange was that kind of guy to really lay it, because they were really harsh words, weren't they?
They were
really harsh words.
But he was, but before anyone, just to clarify things, he didn't just come out of the blue. He was asked directly about Timo, so it wasn't as if like he just mentioned Tino out of the blue and brought him up. He was asked about Timo, and he answered honestly. He
did answer honestly, maybe a bit too honest for some people's like if that's Jose Mourinho in a press conference saying something like that, like he is getting criticised till the cows come home, calling out, like criticising that heavily one of your players in the press. Like, what Ange has been doing recently, he's been saying, they're giving their all at the moment. And look, maybe Timo wasn't giving his all, but this is what he said in the press conference before the game, talking about Cuti Romero. He said, he says he realised a lot what he said was good, and he wasn't the right way of dealing with it. And that's the same way I wouldn't criticise a player publicly. That's literally what he said the day before the game. And then he comes out and says that after the game. It's just like the two comments don't match up with each other.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, he tried to justify it today in his press conference in the morning. He was asked, why did you criticise Werner when you said those words? And he said he wasn't criticising him. He was giving an assessment. I mean, I just think that's being a bit pedantic. It's clearly criticism. He said he wasn't up for the fight. He said that he's asking 18-year-olds to put in big shifts at the moment and really step up for the team. And he's a senior international. He's one of the senior players in the team, and he's not doing his role. And that for me is criticism. I mean, if that's not criticism, I don't know what is criticism. He says, he was asked what the difference is between criticism and an assessment. He says an assessment is trying to be constructive and tell people where they're going wrong so that they can be better. Criticism is just telling people that they're bad, essentially, or that they've been doing bad for no reason.
What's constructive criticism?
Well, maybe, I don't know. Look, you got to ask Ange's questions. I don't think there's a massive difference. I think maybe he's trying to justify his words or whatever. Look, to be fair, what I will say is, if I'm trying to get into Ange's head why he was so harsh on Timo, I'm thinking that, look, ever since Timo's come here, and there have been questions about him, and every time he's been questioned about Timo in the press conference, he's always been quite, backing him up, isn't he? He's always kind of treated him with a bit of kid gloves. When he missed those chances, I think it was against Ferencvaros, like he was asked about him after that game, and he was saying, clearly he's a guy lacking confidence, and we need to be with him all the time, and blah blah blah. And maybe that's something that Timo has had for the last few years, because he's clearly been a player low on confidence for a while now. He's clearly been a player who hasn't been performing at his true potential that we've seen him play at his very best when he was in Germany and whatever. And he's clearly been a player not at that level for a long time. And maybe Ange did say that to try and get a reaction to go in a different direction, try and be a bit like harsher on him, because
he's tried everything else, basically.
Yeah, exactly. Because he's kind of tried to support him, and he's tried to kind of support him out of this rut, and it just hasn't worked. And he's been getting worse, to be honest, and his performances haven't improved. I think yesterday the big disappointment for Ange probably was the fact that we are out on our feet at the moment. We have got a massive lack of options, and Timo just didn't look like he wanted to be there. He looked like he wanted to be anywhere else but on that pitch, and that is simply not good enough when, as he said, we've got an 18-year-old playing in a makeshift centre-back role where he's having to dig deep and put in a big job for the team, in tough circumstances, and we've got a German international on our left wing looking like he'd rather be anywhere else, and that's probably where the frustration is. And I get the frustration, to be honest, and if that's what he's trying to do, then fine, I don't really mind it, but it doesn't look good when, as you say, a day ago he said he won't criticise players publicly, and then he goes and says that.
Yeah, it's very contradictory from Ange.
I guess what are the actual quotes?
Timo, in my opinion, probably did deserve to get called out yesterday, because he was embarrassing for the most time. Like, I thought he started the game well, but for the most part of that first half, he was completely embarrassing. He was.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And I mean, it's not the first time he's been embarrassing, but it was especially under those circumstances.
But it's like you say, when you back a player, you actually signed him twice.
Yeah.
And then nothing ever changes, doesn't get better. I mean, we have been actually praising Timo over the last few weeks, saying he has been making an impact when he's been coming on, and he's looking all right. But in times like this, when you really need him, when the rest of the team are completely out on their feet, overplaying, and you're the one guy, the one senior player in the squad that hasn't really been overplayed, you got to be taking that game by the scruff of the neck.
In terms of the actual quotes, he said, in the moment we're in now, I need everyone to be at least going out there and giving the best they can. What he produced wasn't acceptable. When I'm asking the younger players to do massive jobs, I expect more from senior players like him. I wonder if a bit of it as well was maybe frustration that he went very early, right? I'm assuming he was, big part of the decision making to bring him back here for another year loan, and maybe part of the frustration is we're now 6 months in to the re-signing of him, and it just hasn't worked. He's probably not even as good as he was last year when he was here, and he wasn't even amazing. He was all right, but he wasn't like amazing at all. And maybe he thought he could get that extra level out of him, and it's kind of backfired. And maybe that he's frustrated in himself that he went out to bat to bring Timo back, and it hasn't worked.
The reality is, right, he's been proved wrong. If this was Ange's decision to bring him back, which I still don't 100% believe it is, but look, let's say it is.
I mean, it was right at the beginning of the window.
Let's just say it is, right? Let's say it is for argument's sake. We're never going to know. Let's just say it is, right? Because that's the safe thing to assume. Like, he's been proved wrong. The fan base tried to tell him. Everyone tried to tell him. Everyone said this ain't going to be a good deal. Well, the majority of people, we definitely sat here and said it's a shocking decision to bring Timo back, particularly so early on in the window. And he's the one that kept backing him. So I agree. I think it's just sheer frustration of he's starting to realise, or probably has realised a while ago how much of a bad decision it actually was to bring Timo back.
In terms of the what's it called, the definition of the word criticism, it says the expression of disapproval of someone or something on the basis of perceived faults or mistakes. It definitely sounds like criticism to me by Ange.
Yeah.
So I don't know how he can say it's not criticism. I mean, it sounds like criticism to me.
But you compare it as well, like Pedro Porro as well, who's been terrible over the past month. Not had a great season by any stretch of the imagination, but particularly bad over the past 3 or 4 games. Yesterday, man, I was getting so frustrated with Pedro. His decision-making of late has been so poor. So poor.
And that's what Ange said in today's press conference.
Is that what he said?
He was asked about what he was saying to Porro at the end of the game, and he was saying, he's basically, I think right at the end of the game, he does this volley pass back to Forster and really puts us in trouble when we're drawing the game. And he was saying to him, look, you've got to be clear-headed. You can't be making these stupid mistakes and nearly costing us a goal out of nothing when we're got ourselves back in the game, and you're doing these volley passes back to Forster. Like, you got to be smarter than that. You got to be more composed than that. And that's what he said. He was saying that he was talking about Porro after the game. They were clearly in conversation for quite a bit.
They zoomed into
it
on TV.
Yeah. Yeah, and look, but to be fair, the difference between Porro and Werner is Porro is playing every single minute of every game at the moment, pretty much. And Werner is very much in and out. He shouldn't be one of those players who are out on their feet. Porro's maybe going to, not that we need excuses at the moment, but if anyone's got an excuse, Porro has more excuses than Werner why he's at the performance level
but
he's
it's
at.
Also Ange's fault that he is playing every single game because he's got another right back there which he refuses to use in Jed Spence. There is no need for Porro to be as tired as he is, and Ange is doing this to himself, and that's the reality. And some of the decisions Pedro was making yesterday, there were times where, first of all, he got caught out of position so many times. Like, it was like a free for all down that right hand side for them at times, for their left hand side. Sometimes he would just get the ball and just boot it forward for no reason. Just boot it forward, literally. Just give the ball back to Rangers, literally for no reason. There was one time when we were on the attack, and Pedro actually had some options, and he tried to slide the ball through 2 players' legs as like a double nutmeg to feed it through to Son. And I'm like, why are you trying that? Like, there are so many different options that you can play, and you're doing that. It's just like, it's beggars belief. Like, what is he doing?
Look, I don't remember that kind of specifics, but I do know he didn't have a good game. And look, to be fair, if I'm defending the fullbacks at the moment, first of all, they are overplayed, but that's by the by. But the role that they play in the team, it is a very complicated role compared to the other positions, I think. And I think sometimes they've got to be inverted, sometimes they're out wide, sometimes they're supporting the attack, sometimes they've got to be traditional fullbacks back in position. And there's a lot of work, there's a lot of effort. And so if we got caught in transition, they got to run all the way back and get back in position, and then they got to go back in the middle. And it's a lot to take in, and especially right now where they're playing a lot, playing at a high intensity. Maybe they're mentally fatigued as much as they're physically fatigued, I think, is probably something. And as you say, Ange has options. He's got Spence there, and he's definitely been massively underused. Obviously, Gray is playing centre-back at the moment, so we can't even use him there at the moment. But I do feel for the fullbacks, because I kind of feel like they need a break, and they're just not getting it at the moment. And look, and also he has one centre back, but he can't even rest both of them because Spence can only play one of the positions. But he should be using him more. He should be rotating one of them, whether it be Deki and Porro, and getting Spence on the pitch. And he obviously can't do it yesterday because Spence isn't in the Europa squad. But definitely in Premier League games, he should have been using him a lot more.
This is I'm not saying all of it is self-inflicted, but a lot of it, there's some elements to our rut at the moment that is self-inflicted. You look at the Spence and Porro situation, which is self-inflicted. You look at the Van de Ven situation. Van de Ven was clearly not ready to play. He even said it after the game. Van de Ven was a worry coming into the game. So why are you playing him? Why? And now he's out for another 2-3 weeks. These things are self-inflicted, and the manager, the guy that's leading us, needs to be making better decisions than that to kind of guide us out of this rut. But these self-inflicted errors and mistakes coming from our manager is putting us in this situation even deeper.
I think with the Van de Ven situation, he said he trained. I think he said the plan was to play him 70 minutes. I think he went off on 79, right? So I think what happened was he was going to plan to play him 70, and then Romero goes off injured. And then he thought, can I push him for another 20 minutes? And obviously that backfired. But I think that was probably the thinking, if I'm in Ange's head. But I agree. He in terms of the position he's putting the squad in, they're struggling, and a lot of he's not really helping it a lot of the time in terms of his squad selection, and he's maybe trying to get too much out of these players that maybe they're not capable of right now in terms of the level of effort, the level of intensity, and clearly they're not, because you can see with the performances they've declined. They're not as good. We're struggling to stay in games at the moment. We're clearly struggling with intensity. I think a big part of Ange's football is the ability to physically dominate teams and get on and assert yourself on them. And we're not able to do it right now. We're clearly not able to do it. Teams are outrunning us. I don't know about outrunning. I don't know about the stats are, but clearly they're physically dominating us right now.
It feels like they're outrunning us.
They might be. I don't know what the stats are, but they're clearly physically dominating us. I think you can clearly see that on the pitch. They're winning the 50-50s. They're getting there first when we're not. And it's a struggle. Look, to be fair to Tottenham, just like I said again in the Fulham game, and I think it is. I think it does mean something. Even when we were playing very, very badly, we did still put a move together, and we found a moment to score. And it was a really good team goal. And I think credit to the team, where in a game again we weren't playing well, and we were struggling against a Rangers side who were much the better side throughout. We still found a moment to put a move together, and we found a moment of quality, and it got us a point.
But I felt like, the sub he made at half-time obviously didn't do the team too many favours. I thought Kulusevski, before the substitutes, wasn't that great. I thought he was struggling in the game, but then as soon as we made the triple sub with half an hour to go, we started to get our rhythm. We started to get into the game. We had a focal point up front with Dom Solanke. Kulusevski started to run the show a little bit. I think he created like 3 chances, more than anyone on the pitch in the whole game, over 90 minutes, and he only played 45. So you saw the changes that he made with half an hour to go clearly impacted the game, and it was a great goal, over a little dummy from James Maddison. Who put the cross in?
I think it would have been a foul if Deki doesn't score, but
Solanke puts the cross in.
Deki plays Solanke up in behind.
And then Solanke puts the cross in, dummy from Maddison, and obviously Kulusevski finishes it. So
I think it was a foul, Maddison.
Was it a foul?
I think so. From where I was sitting, it looked like Maddison was going to take it, and he gets taken out.
Well, good that he got taken out because it fell to Dejan Kulusevski, and I felt at that point it looked like we might have gone on to win the game. We were actually asserting our dominance at that point for at least 10-15 minutes, and we were looking good. But then the tide turned again. Yeah,
and they had that goal ruled out for offside. Which on replay was very clearly offside, but still that was a warning sign. And then their striker who comes off the bench bundled his way through Archie Gray.
He's their number one striker.
And you can see. I mean, you can see that he's a real physical presence. He bundled his way through, and it looks like bam, they're going to score a winner. But big Fraser Forster, big left foot, sticking it out.
What a save that was!
Brilliant save, and saved us a point.
There was another save in the first half as well. Fingertips just over the bar. I don't know if you saw that.
Yes, I mean, he didn't seem to be stretching too much for it, though. You know what I mean? Because it wasn't one he dived for. He kind of just stuck his hand out.
Yeah,
was that
it was
one?
like when he stretched up top.
Yeah. So I don't know if it was going in or not, or one of those ones.
I think it was going in.
Maybe, okay. So that's a good save as well. But and that was a big save again. Apart from that save, there was a couple of saves there, as you said, the one he tipped over and the one late in the game. I don't think he was called into too much action, but obviously he had to make some saves during the game. And yeah,
he was our best player though,
for sure, because we struggled. But as you said, we got the good goal to equalise, and you thought the momentum was with us, but we didn't really take control of it. And Rangers will definitely feel aggrieved they didn't win the game, because they should have won the game with the possession they have. I wouldn't say with the chances, probably with the chances as well, because they had better chances than us, but they probably didn't do enough with the possession they had, I would say.
Well, the XG stats for the game was 1.28 for them and 0.87 to us.
Yeah, that's exactly my point.
They had 2 big chances, we had 0.
Yeah, but the 1.28 and 0.8 that's negligible. that's basically 1-1. That suggests the game should finish 1-1, basically. That tells me that Rangers probably didn't do enough with what they had. Because they got themselves in a lot of promising positions, like out wide in good positions to get good crosses in, and they weren't able to really fashion too many clear-cut opportunities.
Yeah.
I'm guessing the two chances were the goal and the chance right at the end. That was it.
There's a lot of discourse after the game on social media about Rodrigo Bentancur's performance. I don't know if you saw, like, a lot of people saying he played well, a lot of people saying he was really poor.
Got taken off on the hour.
I know, but I thought it was a bit of a mix and match. I thought he was doing all right at times in the first half. I mean, our midfield was like a gaping hole, wasn't it? He couldn't do everything on his own, but I felt like he did a few important things where I think about three defensive corners that we had, he won the ball like 3 times in a row. I felt like he was putting himself about a little bit, but then in the second half, he just went completely missing.
Yeah, and for a player who's obviously not played a lot of football, and
he didn't look that fit.
Exactly, he's not. But maybe it's a case of because he's not been playing football, he's struggling to keep that sharpness potentially. I don't like. Maybe that's the reason, but for a player, as we've said, he's on a 7-match ban. He's, for him to be taken off on the hour, Ange must have really felt like he's not been playing well because he's a player that we need to play right now because he can't play in the Premier League. So Ange deciding to take him off on the hour mark, for me, tells me that Ange was not happy with him. Obviously, he took Basuma off on same time as well, didn't he?
Yeah.
So that tells me that, and there was not another player who can't play on Sunday.
But Basuma has been playing a lot, though.
Yeah, that's fair enough. But as well, he's a player that he can't play on Sunday
because he was awful.
Yeah, he's been awful for the past couple games, to be honest. He's in bad form. And we struggled in that midfield battle. But you would have thought, going into it, Bentancur, Basuma and Maddison, well, that three should be able to do something in the middle, and they just weren't up to it. They just got bullied in the middle.
The thing is with Maddison, like, he kept trying to make something happen, Maddison, but he just kept failing every time.
Yeah.
Like, nothing was coming off for him. And with a player of Maddison's ability, needs to be doing a lot more with the amount of possession that he had in the game. And that free kick thing pissed me off, man, because they showed it clearly on TV. Sonny goes up to it, Sonny wants to take it, and Maddison just goes, no, I'm taking it, and Sonny just walks away. And I'm like, Sonny, you're the captain, man. If you want to take this free kick, you've got the quality to score it. And I know Maddison has the quality to score it as well, but Sonny is literally the captain. He needs to be asserting his authority to take that free kick. And we've literally seen Sonny score from that exact position before. We did a watch-along here in the studio for it, a career against Australia in the Asia Cup. So, look, I know Maddison has the quality, and if he scores the free kick, probably no one's talking about it. But he didn't score it. And if Sonny wants to take it, Sonny never gets to take free kicks because everyone's always taking it off him. Like
Porro and Maddison ahead of him.
Why doesn't... But Sonny should be, if he wants to take it, he should be asserting his authority.
Yeah, I mean, you would like to think so as a leader, but obviously maybe as well part of him being a leader is in those moments allowing Maddison to take it. Look, I don't know what the stats are like, who scores more free kicks and all that kind of stuff. Maybe Porro and Maddison are just better, and that's why they get the nod every time. And if we were in training and watching them to practice free kicks, maybe we would see that. And because we don't, maybe we don't know that. But I don't know. I mean, if Son could take it, and we'll probably also miss. So I don't think it's a big deal. But if Sonny is coming over to it and he never gets a chance to take one, and he's like, I'm feeling this one I'm taking, then he shouldn't let Maddison bully him off it, for sure, especially as the leader in the group. But maybe that's also part of leadership, allowing Maddison to take it. Maybe that's also part of it.
But it needs to be a bit of both, right? You need to show a bit of authority as well, where Sonny, whenever these situation comes, he always just hands it over. There's never... When a set piece comes, Sonny just takes the authority, being like, look, this is my ball, I'm going to take it. Like the James Maddison one with Richarlison for the penalty, right? He asserted his authority, but then after he asserted his authority, he was like, all right, fine, I'm going to give it to you because it means more for you right now to get that goal. Sonny didn't assert his authority.
Yeah. I mean, I haven't seen the incident, to be honest, but then if that's the case... then he should definitely be a bit more.
He's too nice, Sonny. As much as I love him, he is too nice sometimes in these situations. And Brennan Johnson,
but he did that. You remember in the South Korea in the Asia Cup, hanging on to that penalty in the last minute, and he gave it to him and he scored. Like, I don't know. Maybe that's part of leadership as well.
Yeah, but we haven't seen it for Spurs though.
I mean, if Maddison scores, are we
That's why I said if Maddison scores, then we're not talking about it because it's not a situation because he misses. So I guess it's probably not the biggest point in the world, but I have seen this a number of times with Sonny. And Sonny's got the quality, man. He's got so much quality from those kind of dead ball situations. So I just feel like,
don't know who's the free kick taker, described one.
Well, if it is Maddison, then why is Sonny picking up the ball and clearly wanting to take it?
Because maybe you just felt it. Sometimes you feel like I can get this one in. Like sometimes as a footballer, I'm sure they all have moments where I feel this one. Let me take it. But maybe Maddison's the prescribed free kick taker.
Brennan Johnson as well, another ghost performance from him.
Yeah.
I thought it was absolutely shocking once again from the right side and from the left side, more of the same. There was one moment where he tried to take on his man in the first half, and that was pretty much the only time we saw him.
To the left, to the right, he's always fucking shy. He had that one chance, didn't he? Deki pulled it back for him on that, and he was coming in, and he blazed over the bar. Similar to the goal he would have scored against Roma. But this time he didn't get it on target. And then he had that chance in the first half, which I think was offside anyway, which Werner puts it in for him, and he gets in front of his man and obviously hits the goalkeeper. I think that for Brennan, I think we've come to get used to the fact that that's just his role, getting on the end of those kind of things or getting a ball into the box. Like, he's just not going to be a player who's involved in all facets of the game and is taking on people, and he's always looking great.
He's got it in his locker to do it, though. He's got the attributes with his speed, like to knock it past the man and just burn past him.
I think he's definitely got it in his locker to be more involved. But I think his role in the team is to do that, is to be a bit of a fox in the box. He's a good finisher, clearly. He gets on the end of things. And when he gets his opportunity to get beyond his man, to get the ball in the box, I think that's primarily his role. And he's effective at doing that. But I've said it before. I said it before the season. I stand by it. He's not the best footballer in the world. He's just an effective footballer who can do a job. You ask him to do it, and that's why he has 10 goals and he's got a good number of goal contributions, because he is effective at doing those jobs. But when it comes to him, taking a game by the scruff of the neck and things like that, he's just not that player. And at the moment anyway, look, he's still young. He's 22, 23, so maybe he'll grow into that player. But right now, where he's at, that's just not what he's able to do. And when other players are not doing it, like when we have Werner continuously losing the ball and we got Son not holding the ball up, more often than not it means Brendan's completely out of the game. When you've got Solanke and Deki there and they're able to create chances and hold the ball and actually get the ball into the box, all of a sudden he becomes alive. But when we've got games like yesterday where every time we get the ball to the front three it's bouncing back because we got no one to hold the ball, he's out of the game. And you're right. It's fair to criticise him for that, because he's that type of player doesn't mean we shouldn't want him to improve and do better. But we also have to just realise that's his role in the team, and that's just how I see it.
Yeah, we spoke about the impact that Solanke made, obviously, with giving a presence. I thought Sarr as well helped stem the tide in the middle of the park where it was a gaping hole, and he just added a bit of a presence in there. But Lucas Bergvall, man, 3 performances in a row now. He's come on and made a real positive impact. He got half an hour this time, so longer than usual. Surely he's pushing for a start now. With Bentancur and Bissouma out for Southampton, I mean, you've got to start him, surely.
Yeah, I mean, we're lacking options. The only other thing you would do is, I mean, we'll get into the particular lineup. The only other thing you could do is put Sarr on the 6 and play Maddison and Deki. But I think Bergvall, the way he's played in the last three games, I think he's well worth a start. I think he has to play, because I think he's come on, he's been composed, he's actually really added to the team in times when we've been struggling, all 3 games actually, and I think he's been a shining light in the latter stages, especially yesterday. He didn't have to do anything too complicated, just got on the ball, progressed it, moved the ball forward, kept things simple, was calm, was composed. There was one moment where he had the ball and he passed out wide and the referee gave a foul against him. I was like, why was that a foul?
Did you see it back? You're talking about the booking?
Yeah.
So basically he passed it, and with his follow through of his pass, he caught the player. And I was like, how can you give a booking for that? It was the most ridiculous thing.
I mean,
and the foul, he did another foul, right, where I thought he might have got sent off. And that was more of a booking than the first one.
No, it's ridiculous. But I guess, what do you do? Do you put him in the 6? Do you put him in the 8?
I play Bergvall in the 6, Sarr and Kulusevski on the weekend.
Maybe that's what he'll do. But I think it's very encouraging because Bergvall, there was even a point where we were thinking about, do we put him on loan, or is he struggling too much? But as I've said, I've been pretty consistent. I think for an 18-year-old coming from the Swedish league, how he's performed so far this season, I think he's done really well. And I think the last 3 appearances in the Premier League have only reinforced that, and he seems to be getting better. He seems to be getting more acclimatised to this level. And look, to be fair, it's only small cameos in the grand scheme of things. 10 minutes against Bournemouth, 10 minutes against Chelsea, and now it was half an hour yesterday. But obviously yesterday was his longest stretch on the pitch, and he definitely helped the team massively. And I'm really starting to get more and more impressed with him, and I think he should have more of a role to play, to be honest. If he's going to perform like that, he's impacting games, so I think he should be getting more minutes. And I think, give him a start in the Premier League, see how he does. It doesn't work, you've still got Maddison there, you can put Sarr on the 6, so you've got options. But if he does do well, all of a sudden you could be an option.
Yeah, I think 2 players emerging right now in Gray and Bergvall, who everyone's saying they need more minutes. I think both of them are really standing up for the team at the moment. I was very impressed with Gray at centre-back, completely out of position. I was very worried with Gray coming in at centre-back. Obviously, it might be a different kettle of fish doing it in the Premier League, because we're going to have to play Liverpool with Gray at centre-back. So obviously, it's going to be a different case there. But in that game, in that isolated game, I was very happy with Gray at centre-back alongside Bergvall coming on.
Yeah, agreed. I don't think him and Dragoshin covered himself in too much glory with the goal. I think they were both kind of marking the same man, and it just left Porro at the back post with the striker, and obviously he scored. But I think in general, he did really well. And especially in the circumstances, didn't get bullied. I don't remember too many mistakes. When he had the ball as well, he was good with his passing. He got the ball forward well, played the ball just crisply out wide when needed to, didn't make too many mistakes, looked comfortable. In a game where it would have been very easy for him to be completely out of his depth, and he wasn't. He stepped up, so fair play to Archery. Obviously, even I think on the weekend it's going to be even a different kettle of fish, because Southampton is a Premier League side and Rangers were a much changed Scottish team. So on the weekend it's going to be a different challenge, but at least you'd say you were comfortable with what you saw with him on Thursday night, and fair play to him, did well, and under trying circumstances.
Yeah. So in terms of the Europa League now, we sit in 9th on 11 points. Rangers are 8th on 11 points. Man United, Galatasaray are 6th and 7th on 12 points. And Lyon and Frankfurt are 4th and 5th on 13. And Anderlecht 3rd on 14. So with 2 games left to play, Hoffenheim away and Elfsborg at home, you got to say, probably, 4 points? 4 points,
4 points, you're pretty guaranteed, I would say, especially with Rangers play Man United, who are both in the top 8. Then that's the next game. I haven't analysed the fixtures, so I don't know who else in the top 8 play each other. But I know Rangers play Man United. So if we win the next game, we're back in the top 8, we're guaranteed, because both of them can't take points. Even if they draw, we go above them. So it still leaves us in a good position. And as Ange said, which is a very good point, we don't play again till mid-Jan. So hopefully by that point we'll have a bit more of a full squad. We'll be in a much better position. I'm pretty safe. I think it's pretty safe to say that 4 points would get you in the top 8.
Ajax play Galatasaray as well, and Ajax are just 1 point behind us.
Okay.
So if Ajax can do something there and nick a draw or something, there are a few matches I think that are head to head with the top 6.
So if we can get 4 points, I'm pretty guaranteed. I think you probably still make it even with 1 win. I think even 1 win, you probably sneak in there. I'm not guaranteed, but I think you probably do. I think if we don't win either game, I think there's probably no chance we get it.
Yeah.
So I think 1 win with I think you have an outside chance of doing it with 1 win. 4 points, I think you're pretty guaranteed. Obviously 2 wins, you're definitely there. So I think it gives us a good opportunity. I think at the end I think I agree with Ange. I think we might look back at this point and think it's a valuable point in the grand scheme of things, because I think we can get into that top 8. I think with the games we have left, there's no reason not to be in that top 8 after those 2 games. I think there's 4 points there. If we can get a draw at Hoffenheim and beat Elfsborg, I think that'll be it.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Obviously, Hoffenheim is first, so if you put a draw, it does put a bit of pressure to win that last game. So obviously, if we can beat Hoffenheim, I think that will take the pressure off.
Look, if we can't beat Elfsborg at home, then we don't deserve to be in the tournament. Let's be real. We got to beat Elfsborg at home, no matter what lineup we play.
Yeah, for sure.
Even if you play a Lancashire up top and and chuck a few kids in there, we got to be taking 3 points from that game, no matter what.
Yep.
We don't deserve to be in the top 8 if we don't win that game.
100%. Albeit, Elfsborg have shown they can give teams a game this
regardless, man. There are worlds apart between Elfsborg and Tottenham in terms of stature in the football and the players that we have at our disposal.
But if it's a game where we need to win, I don't think we're going to play the kids, are we? We'll have to go strong.
Yeah, well, regardless, I would say even if we do have to, if we do play the kids, we should be winning. So if we don't play the kids, then there's even less excuses.
Look, we should be in that. I'm pretty confident we're going to be in that top 8. Regardless, how are we definitely there in the top 24?
For sure. Because there's so many teams in between, we're actually not that many points off. So Elfsborg are 24th. They're on 7 points.
And we're
on 11
10.
points.
We're 11. Oh, 4 points. That is quite...
So 4 points with 2 games to go and the amount of teams that are in between us.
Yeah, we should be all right.
Yeah. When we were losing, it was 3 points. So, but even then, with the amount of teams that are in between us, it would have been hard to drop out of it.
Yeah. So I think it's a valuable point. I do think it's a valuable point, and I think it puts us in a position where it's in our own hands. I think just get the 4 points. Obviously, I think aim for 6. I think if you get 6, you probably get into the top 5 probably. But yeah, I think 4 points should do it.
All right, well, that is our match review of the game last night. Rangers 1, Tottenham 1 in another terrible display for Tottenham Hotspur. We got a super chat here from Michael Hellman, and he just got his platinum membership as well. So big up to Michael Hellman. And he says, winning the Europa League is the only path to make this season irrelevant. I'm sure he means relevant. Hard to make understand the match squad selection. Lange and Levy out. Ange in. # come on you Spurs. Big up.
Yeah, I mean... Yeah, I think some of the team selection, especially when the subs came on, was a bit weird, to be honest. So
I thought he got it wrong at half time, but I think with half an hour to go, then he made it right.
Yeah, he made some good subs and changed the game. There was one, I don't know if you...
No, go on, read that one
Billy
out.
says, Archie Gray was so bad, need a new centre-back in Jan.
I mean, it's true, we do need a new centre-back in Jan, and there's talks about Ashley Phillips coming back because there's a recall clause. I don't know if you saw that Dan Kilpatrick was talking about. So I think we have to do that. But look, I don't think Archie Gray was bad yesterday. I actually think he had a good game by most parts. But look, we definitely need a new centre-back in Jan, that's for sure.
Yeah.
But let's get into the player ratings, guys. And let's start off with big Fraser Forster. 8s all round for Fraser. Kept us in the game towards the latter stage. It was an unbelievable save where Drezes looked like he was going to score. And, made a few comfortable and big saves for us throughout the game. And, look, since Vicario's been out, he's pretty much been our best player every game. Yeah,
done well. Fair play to him. Big save right at the end to earn us a point, which was a big moment in the game. I think throughout he had to be at his sharpest. I think, obviously, he had some nice... kind of passes with the drop kicks that he likes to do, which is good. Obviously, he was put under real pressure from Porro at the end when he volleyed that pass back to him. He had to kind of make the most of it and to stop kind of a disaster happening. But yeah, big phrase, another good performance from him, and he's probably our form player.
Yeah. Pedro Porro up next to him gives him a 4. I gave him a 3. I mean, the guy's shattered. He is absolutely shattered. But look, you got to call out the performance for what it is, and for too long now, it's not been good enough for Pedro Porro. I thought it was a really frustrating display. Really frustrating. Making the wrong decisions consistently, rushing things, booting the ball up the pitch when he didn't need to do it. Completely open on that side as well defensively. I did think he grew into the game a little bit in the second half, but still wasn't good enough.
Yeah, ever since that City game, he's just dropped off a cliff. It's been a bit. It's very worrying, no doubt about it. He's been pretty much putting in disaster classes for the last 4 games now, and. Something needs to give. I'll be interested to see if Ange does start Spence on Sunday, which
surely
I think
he has to. Surely,
with a big game against United coming up, I mean, we have to do something because we can't play him in both those games. Surely, so he needs a rest. But yeah, he was making such poor decisions. Ange was speaking to Porro after the game about the poor decisions he was making, and I do wonder if it's mental fatigue as much as it's physical fatigue from him as well. But yeah, another poor performance from him.
Radu Dragusin up next, 7s all round for Radu, and I thought he played a really important role for the team yesterday. If it wasn't for him, it could have been a lot more. I mean, Rangers had a lot of kind of possession and they were peppering us a little bit, but didn't create too many chances, and I thought a lot of that was down to Radu and his leadership at the back, and he was kind of guiding Archie Gray, and so many important interceptions he was making throughout the team and in an aggressive defensive display.
Yeah, as the senior centre-back on the day, he had to be be at his best, and he had to make sure he's helping Archie Gray as well. And I thought they developed a decent partnership. Obviously, Gray has got good passing ability, so he allowed Gray to kind of fulfill that role, and Dragoshin was kind of being the guy who was being aggressive and winning headers and things like that. So fair play to Dragoshin. Again, not an easy circumstance, partnering with a 18-year-old kid who's not a natural centre-back, but I thought he managed him well through in the game and managed himself well.
Archie Gray, 7s all round for Archie, coming in, unnatural position at centre-back, and I thought he did a lot better than I expected him to do, to be honest. And I felt, particularly in the first half, he kept winning headers. And against an aggressive Rangers team, which was really impressive for an 18-year-old coming in at centre-back when he's a natural midfielder. He's played right-back and now he's played centre-back. And he's done all to a fairly good level. So I'm impressed with Archie. He was also... Look, he didn't cover himself in much glory for the goal that we conceded. But apart from that, I thought he handled himself really well.
Yeah, definitely. And I was really impressed with him. In a game where... I think maybe even if he had a natural defender there, they might have crumbled in that situation. Intense atmosphere, really difficult place to go. Not your natural position. He's only played there a handful of times in pre-season, and look, fair play to him. Stepped in. He looked like he could have been a centre back on the day. I wouldn't say he was like. He played there as if that was his position, but he looked composed, he looked comfortable, he didn't get overawed by the occasion, and he did really, really well. So fair play to Archie Gray, because it could have been a really difficult day for him. It turned out he did well.
Destiny Udogie up next. Sim gives him a 5, I gave him a 4. Not that impressive from Destiny, unfortunately. I thought he'd given a torrid time by Cherney on that right-hand side. He seemed to have the beating of him. Going forward, he couldn't really seem to make any sort of impact. So, yeah, another subpar display from Destiny.
Yeah, I think Cherney gave him a tough time. He really struggled down that side, and they were able to get balls into the box. So again, not too many chances. He had a couple of shots on that side, but Destiny again, another one probably physically struggling a bit at the moment, and another game where he just wasn't great, to be honest. So yeah, gave him a 5.
Yves Bissouma up next. Sim gives him a 4. I gave him a 3. Yeah, he has been playing a lot of football recently, but you got to be better than that, man. You got to be better. He was tasked to be aggressive in the middle of the park, and the middle of the park was just an open, gaping hole. And Bissouma was a massive part of that. He wasn't aggressive enough. He wasn't good enough on the ball. Just a really, really poor display.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, as you say, another player. I'm sorry, another player who's playing a lot of football right now, especially with Bentancur suspension, but he just looked a bit all over the place, losing 50-50s, wasn't physically dominating. When Bissouma's at his best, you really expect him to assert himself on the game, and he just did it. He looked just didn't look like he was up for it. And Ange was talking about players, not just Timo, who he feels like should be stepping up more, and I think Bissouma's probably one of them he's looking at.
Yeah, absolutely. Bentancur up next. 5s all round for Rodrigo Bentancur. And I felt like in the first half he was one of our better players. He put in a really big shift at times. He didn't look completely fit, which was strange to me. But in terms of winning headers in the box, in both boxes, to be honest, he was winning headers from set pieces. There was one moment when he was able to wriggle his way around the back as well on an attack in the first half. But in the second half, he just seemed to lose everything. And, he got taken off, and quite rightly so, because he was nowhere in that game in the second half.
Yeah, got taken off of the hour mark, and that tells me, especially for a player who's not playing a lot of football at the moment, what Ange thought of his performance. Because for a player that should be one of the fresher ones in the team, especially when we're in a stage where we're out on our feet, for him to be taken off on the hour, I think is quite significant. As you say, I thought he was one of our better players in the first half, but second half, again, we just allowed them to dominate our midfield, and he wasn't able to get the ball forward or really kind of assert himself. So taken off on the hour.
James Maddison, 4s all round. Another senior player that didn't really turn up yesterday. And, we saw a lot of the ball, and he just couldn't make anything happen. I just feel like he was trying stuff, but nothing was coming off for him. And another poor display for James Maddison.
Yeah, and I think Maddison, poor performance. I mean, it's easy to say that about a lot of players yesterday, but yeah, he wasn't on it. He had that one shot from a free kick, which went over the bar. Apart from that, obviously he stayed on for 90 minutes, didn't he? I don't think he went off, and wasn't able to create much. Wasn't even involved in the goal we scored, I don't think. Just quite.
The only involvement he had was the dummy / getting fouled.
Yeah.
That was his involvement of the whole game.
Oh yeah, fair enough. Yeah, he got fouled. That could have been a penalty if Deki doesn't score, I think.
Yeah. Brennan Johnson up next. 3s all round for Brennan. Another ghost display from Brennan Johnson. He just failed to make any sort of impact within the game. Had a couple of chances that he fluffed his lines with, but from a general game state play, he pretty much did nothing.
Yeah. He missed that chance in the first half, which was offside. He missed another one in the second half, which I think was a pullback from Deki. And similar to the one against Roma, he could have tried to hit into the corner, misses it. And then apart from that, did nothing, really. Just anonymous. Played him on the left in that second half for a bit, which I didn't understand at all. Just not a good performance from Brennan. In these kind of games where we're struggling to keep the ball, he can be a bit anonymous.
Son Heung-min, 4s all round for Sonny. Unfortunately, not a good display from him either. Started off in the number 9, which just wasn't suited to him, particularly in a game like this where coming up against such an aggressive team, there was literally no presence up top, and he was the man that was supposed to provide it, which he never was going to do so. Moved over to the left-hand side in the last half an hour, and I thought he got a little bit better, but still couldn't make any sort of impact, couldn't really beat his man. So unfortunately, a poor display.
Yeah, well, couldn't get involved in the game. His performances up front have been really poor recently, to be honest. Lack of ability to hang on to the ball. I felt like last season when he was playing up front, he used to do these like smart little flicks and making sure that we're retaining the ball higher up the pitch on occasion. He's just completely gone out of his game now, I feel like, at this point when he's playing up front. As you say, when he went on to the left, I mean, a bit better, but again, I don't remember too much he did, to be honest, when he was out on the left as well. So just wasn't a good game from Son. Yeah, that was just that one pass from the left-hand side, which played us into the box. That's all I can really remember. It was actually a really nice pass. But Timo Werner, 2s all round for Timo. He got criticised in a massive way by Ange Postecoglou in the post-match press conference, and whether you think it's right or not for Ange to do that, he was worthy of the criticism, let's be real. Shocking display. I actually thought he started the game fairly well in the first 5 minutes. He beat Tavernier out on the outside, on the left-hand side, putting a cross into the box, but that's the last we really saw of him. Every time he got the ball, he lost it, whether it was a terrible pass or he was running the ball out of play. Shocking display for one of the players that have played one of the least amounts of football in the starting lineup yesterday. So quite right, he got hauled off at half-time. Yeah. Shocking display. Looked like he didn't want to be there, to be honest. Dribbling the ball out of play yet again. Classic Timo. Not the first time we've seen that. It's just another. I mean, look, you could argue he could have hauled up a few players at halftime. Wasn't just him, but he was again really bad. Then the difference between him and the other players is he's not been playing as much, and he should be fresher, and he's just not at the moment. And he's just not contributing what we need him to contribute right now, especially in such a difficult period. So, yeah, poor. Very, very poor. In terms of the substitutes, Dejan Kulusevski came on at half-time. Sim gives him a 7. I gave him an 8. Obviously clawed us back into the game with that goal with about 20 minutes to go. I actually felt like he wasn't great when he first came on, or when he got moved over to the wing. But with half an hour to go, I thought he was our best player by a long way. He created three chances for us, which is more than any other player on the pitch for Spurs and Rangers. And he just had this air of, I'm just going to make something happen. And he was the one that put it in the back of the net as well, and a really nice finish. So he seems like one that just really wants it for this team, and he kind of steps up even when he doesn't play well. You see some signs of quality and someone that's really trying hard and busting a gut for the team. So I gave him a mark up for that as well. I mean, the goal was all him, wasn't it? I mean, he played it through to Solanke, he followed it up with a brilliant one inside and a brilliant finish from him. So if it wasn't for Deki, I don't think that goal literally all went through him. So brilliant stuff there. He set up that chance with Brennan as well, which Brennan should have been doing better with that chance. Should have been getting on target. And he made a real impact. He was actually able to keep the ball. He was actually able to shield it away from some of the Rangers defenders, which none of the front three were able to do before that. Just made a massive impact on the game. As you say, for the first 10-15 minutes, it wasn't brilliant, but as the half wore on, he just grew in influence. And he's the only player who's every game keeping up his standards at the moment. Lucas Bergvall up next. 7s all round for Bergvall. He's coming on. He's making an impact in the last 3 games now, and he got half an hour, and I thought, he just brought calm and measure, ability on the ball. His passing is top notch. So I'm really liking what I'm seeing from Lucas Bergvall at the moment, and he's got to start on the weekend. Yeah, I think last 3 cameos from him have been really, really positive, especially considering they've been important, like not like a difficult period for Spurs. I think he's come on, showed a lot of composure, as you say, some calmness, just keeps the ball ticking over, progressing forward nicely. Where in other situations, you know, we've got players like Basuma and Bentancur at the moment who just weren't able to do that on the day. Also showed a bit of aggression. I know he got booked, but, you know, he's getting himself about as well. And so the last 3 cameos from him have been really positive. So I want to see more of him. Could be a good could be a good time to do it on the weekend. But it's also a massive game for Tottenham. We need the win, so it's going to be interesting to see what Ange does.
Pape Matar Sarr, Sim gives him a 5, I gave him a 6. In terms of Sarr, like, he provided something the team that desperately needed in that moment in the game where there was just a gaping hole in the middle of the park with Basuma and Bentancur there. And I felt Sarr kind of did close that gap, and he came on, he provided legs in the middle of the park, but didn't provide too much quality. I think he just added something that we desperately needed, and that was legs in the midfield.
Yeah, I agree. He was able to get around the pitch a bit more, made a couple of tackles, but I can't remember too many good footballing moves he was involved in. I don't think it was like a return to form or anything, but I think he helped stable it a bit in the middle.
Dom Solanke, I think the last player that we're going to rate. 6 all round for Solanke. Again, he came on and just provided something that the team desperately needed, and that was a presence up top, a physical presence. And we were able to make it stick a bit more. We actually asserted our dominance on the game as soon as those changes were made. So it was definitely the 3 changes that were desperately needed for the team. And he also provided a really nice assist for Kulusevski. Great pass through the legs of Maddison, and then Kulusevski obviously finished it off. So, look, it wasn't brilliant by any stretch of the imagination for Solanke, but again, a bit similar to Sarr, just provided something the team desperately needed. Yeah,
and obviously in the big moment, it was a good pass, whether it was probably intended for Maddison, but it fell to Deki, but obviously he was big from him running in behind and making that space. And he was a presence up there. I don't think he did anything particularly amazing, but I think he just made that difference when he came on. Just a bit more aggression, that bit more steel, which we were massively lacking with him off the pitch.
Yeah. And finally, Ange Postecoglou, 5s all round. Can't seem to stem the tide of this rut we're in at the moment. And I felt like when you're looking at the team lineup, I thought it was a bit peculiar to play both Basuma and Bentancur. Even though Basuma is suspended, I felt like Basuma has been playing a lot of minutes. There were other options. He did say that Bergvall was going to start, but he was suffering from illness, so I guess I'll give him a pass on that one, because Bergvall obviously couldn't start the game. Sonny up top, I didn't really understand, with Will Lancashire and Dom Solanke on the bench. I know Solanke's been playing a lot of minutes, but Will Lancashire played out in Galatasaray, so why not play him out in Rangers? I know it's an important game, but still, he scored in Galatasaray. He had an okay performance against a lesser opposition in Rangers. Why not just stick him in there and see what he can do? And you've always got the option to change it, because Sonny just didn't provide anything for us. You know, we keep playing these same players. I mean, there's nothing we could do about Pedro Porro and Destiny Udogie. They have to play. We got no backup fullbacks because of the injuries and the squad selections. So I didn't have too much problems with the starting lineup. It was definitely a team that could have gone out there and put in a better performance than we did. I did have a massive problem with the change at half time. I just didn't understand it. Like, we've seen that Brennan Johnson on the left does not work. Why does he keep persisting with it? It just doesn't make sense to me. So that change did make no impact in the game whatsoever. However, I felt that the changes that he made with half an hour to go did positively impact the game, and I think those are the changes that actually clawed us back into the game. So got to give him credit to that. But yeah, it's just frustrating at the moment, and he's showing a few signs of conflicting signs in terms of what he's talking about in his press conference. How before the game he's saying he wouldn't call out a player or publicly call out a player in his press conference, and then does exactly that after the game. So yeah, contradictory from Ange. Is that signs of someone cracking under the pressure? I don't know, but he's not managing the team that well at the moment.
Yeah, I didn't understand playing 3 players out of position in a front 3 like he did at the beginning of that second half. Son up front, Brennan on the left, and Deki on the right, when we know Deki's best in the centre, Son's best on the left, and Johnson's best off the right. So I don't understand why he felt the need to play all 3 out of position. It just didn't work at all. But as you say, when he made the changes, that was really positive, impacted the team, and we got the goal through it. A really nice team goal as well. And it's a decent point at the end of the day in trying circumstances where we could have easily lost and probably should have lost. He did well just to get a point there, but definitely performances again lacking, really struggling to maintain any sort of intensity or aggression on the pitch, and it showed again. Rangers were well up for it, winning 50-50s, and we lacked that intensity, and he just, at the moment, he can't seem to get a team on the pitch that kind of needs that intensity that he wants. And look, he's got to take the blame for it, obviously, but we are on our feet with lots of injuries, so I feel for him as well. But sometimes he doesn't help himself.
Yeah, absolutely. So that is our player ratings for the Rangers 1-1 draw, which doesn't leave us in the worst position. So that's, I guess, a positive. And he has to start using his squad now in terms of Jed Spence. Like, I'm talking specifically about Jed Spence and Lucas Bergvall, to be honest, because with these guys need to see starts now over the next couple of games. We've got a massive game against Man United in less than a week now on Thursday night next week. And this game against Southampton, he has to play Jed Spence. He just has to. There's no other option. You're seeing how much Pedro Porro is struggling right now. You have to play Jed Spence. There is no other option. We've got a members chat member for 45 months. Big up Amir. And he says, big up all. If we want things to change, we must demand players off the top shelf. Wirtz, Kvisha, Williams, Mitoma and Buemo. A change in policy is needed ASAP. I mean, that would be nice, wouldn't it?
I get Vinicius.
Mbappe.
Let's get them all. Let's get them all in. I'd love that. Unfortunately, it's not who we are, mate. It's not who we are, mate.
That's what he's saying. A change in policy is needed.
Yeah, but yeah, sure. If we can bring in Kvisha and Nico Williams, I would love that. I just don't know if it's possible.
All right, let's go and see how the internet did react to the game yesterday. Starting off with Kulu THFC saying Kulusevski in the Spurs side. Absolutely, absolutely.
Exactly.
Gold amongst the rubble.
Yeah, for sure.
Diamond in the rough. Diamond, is that? No, that's not the right saying. What's the right saying?
Diamond
for
in
it?
the rough.
Yeah, it's not the right saying for that. It's more like, yeah, I guess that's gold amongst the rubble. Haley Hotspur with a meme here saying, hey Archie, can you play at right back? Yes, boss. Hey Archie, can you play at left back? Yes, boss. Hey Archie, can you play at centre back? He sighs, yes, boss. Hey boss, can I play in midfield? Shut the fuck up.
That's probably how he feels at the moment.
Here's Ange Postecoglou talking about the strong words for Timo, and he says, in the moment we're in now, I need everyone to be at least going out there and giving the best they can. What he produced wasn't acceptable. When I'm asking the younger players to do a massive job, I expect more from the senior players like him. And yeah, he must be feeling massively let down for someone that, you know, has been backing him up at every opportunity. Even when the fans were going mad at him, you know, he was like, well, you really think Timo can't score and all this kind of stuff? You'll see once he scores, you know, we'll go and score a few. But, you know, hasn't materialised like that.
Definitely not. And he was a bit of a disgrace last night. He didn't play well at all, and he didn't look like he wanted to be there. He looked like he was hiding a bit at times as well. And when you've got, as Ange is saying, you've got young players looking to do big roles and stepping up for the team, and you've got someone like Werner, who's an experienced player, and performing like that, it's got to be frustrating. Look, I don't know if he regrets his outburst, because he was kind of backing it up this morning, but it's you know, it's definitely strong words from Ange. Definitely strong words from him.
I feel it's like it's out of character for him though to like come and do that in the press to a player. Like, it's not something we've seen it before.
No, for sure. And yeah, I wonder what the consequences are. Will Werner take it to heart? Is he, look, Timo, the amount of shit he's probably taken over the past like 4 years, is this just going to be water for duck's back, or is it going to really affect him? I don't know.
We'll have to wait and see, won't we? Because he did say in the press conference today that he's still we're going to need him. You know,
we are.
Yeah, so he's still going to have to play quite a significant amount.
Let's just hope this shakes him into something.
Yeah, suddenly we're going to start seeing the RB Leipzig, the first time RB Leipzig Timo Werner.
Exactly.
Dejan Kulusevski created most chances than any player involved in last night's game, which was 3, and he only played half of a football match.
Yeah, and look, it made a really great impact, scored a great goal, and he's just the one player that you can rely on at the moment to step in and actually provide for us, because at the moment we're just not sure what we're getting with a lot of these players. Yep.
Ange's comments on Lucas Bergvall. He says, I thought Lucas was excellent when he came on, and he said he's making, you know, he's been saying this every game, so it's time for him to get a start.
Yeah, I think last 3 cameos has been really good, really positive. Looks like he's starting to turn to him a bit more now, getting him a bit longer in the team. But as you say, he was set to start yesterday, but was ill. But this illness has been going through the camp, hasn't it? Clearly, because Mikey Moore's been ill, Solanke's been ill, now Bergval's ill, Brennan was ill as well, wasn't he?
Yeah.
On the weekend. So let's just hope we can get through this blood. I mean, the last thing we need is bloody illness going through the camp on top of these injury crisis.
Well, it's the last thing we need, but it's what we've got. Deki was talking after the game, and he said, now we haven't won in a couple of weeks, so it's time to win on Sunday. Everybody needs to do a little bit more than we're doing right now. So obviously he recognises it. I'm sure nobody doesn't recognise the slump at the moment, and players need to step up for the cause. But he's someone that always does step up for the cause.
Definitely, and he's the one with the right mentality to just keep giving your best. And we know he's a very physical player, so maybe he's one who doesn't have as much a problem as other players keeping up that intensity and physicality as much as some of the other players do. But he's definitely one we can rely on at the moment, which you can't say that for everyone else.
Yeah, Heung-min Son Brazil fan account has AI has seen into the future with this picture of Sonny holding the UEFA Cup at the end of this season, apparently.
Come on. He's manifesting it. Love it.
Yeah, shame it's in like a 2-year-old kit, but
doesn't matter. And also, what's that badge? It doesn't say UEFA.
No, just some AI bullshit, basically. Ben Sack _ says, couldn't agree more. Son ripped one from the same spot this year, but hasn't taken one for Spurs since. And this is the free kick I was talking about in the match review when Sonny put it in from the exact same position that he gave the free kick to Maddison with yesterday.
Yeah, and maybe he should have been a bit more forceful. I mean, I don't think it doesn't mean he's guaranteed to put it in, but I guess it means he's capable of it, which we've seen. We know that he is.
Next up is from Quokka, and this is obviously Son having a laugh and joke with the Rangers players before the game in the pre-match.
He's always having a laugh and joke, Sonny.
He is. And Sham Best as well. This is Sonny trying to G up his teammates just before the second half started. Obviously,
Don't like Maddison there. He doesn't seem to be concentrating. He's like wandering, his head's wandering. Is he listening?
Madison's a bit Billy Bibb bollocks at the moment, man. I'm not happy with Maddison.
Come on, your captain's trying to tell you something. Everyone seems to be locked in, and he's just like, his head's wandering.
Yeah, Pedro Porro's just trying to warm up his hands. Kane from the lane says, if you didn't watch, then don't comment. Werner clearly couldn't be bothered, and Ange said the attitude is unacceptable. He is absolutely right, and Werner needs to know that. The reason he wouldn't say that about Son is because Son always gives 100% when playing even when playing badly.
Yeah, I think we can all agree on that.
Yeah,
I think that's fair to say. Son is just one of those who gives you fundamentals. You know, he's not one of those players who doesn't try. But Werner looked like he'd rather be anywhere else.
Yeah, which is ridiculous, really, when you're a lone player as well and you're trying to play for your future at the club. If he does want to stay here, because I'd assume he does want to stay here, because I don't know if he gets better than Tottenham once he moves on with the way his career's gone over the last 3 or 4 years. You'd think, like, when you get your opportunities, you'll be busting a gut to really get yourselves back into the manager's plans or something.
I agree.
DXNTHFC says, I'm honestly done with Porro. And this is Ange talking to Porro after the game. He went straight to Porro, didn't he, as the game finished. And obviously Porro's been having a really hard time of it. Another hard game yesterday for him. Just bad decision-making, bad defensive actions on display. And Ange, giving him some words of wisdom, I guess.
Yeah, he seemed to be exacerbated with some of the decision-making, especially at the end of the game. But look, hopefully he learns from it, and he just needs a rest, I think. Yeah.
Rangers, this is Sonny _HM7 saying, no idea what Ange is saying to Son, but he ain't listening.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what he's saying.
It's true. Look at that. He's actually walking off. Son is walking, and Ange is like trying to talk to him, and he just carries on walking. That's a bit strange look, isn't it? I never saw that before.
I don't know if necessarily he's definitely talking to Son. I don't know.
Who else could he be talking to there?
Maybe there's Son ahead of him, or I don't know.
He's clearly looking at Son.
No, because there's a coach that comes into frame. He might be shouting at him. I don't know. Maybe he is talking to Son. I don't know what's going on.
That looks like he's clearly talking to Son, in my opinion. I don't know. Prof Spurs says, I don't think the myth-busting claims here follow all from the data. The trajectories to
that's not from yesterday. Is that from yesterday?
Oh no. No,
Oh,
that
it is from yesterday. Yeah.
That is from yesterday. Trajectories to 50 games for Klopp, Arteta and Ange are very similar, beyond which it makes zero sense to project the remaining 46 from the downward trajectory of the last 4 or even 10.
That was from this post. That was from the oh, it's not from yesterday actually, but that was from a post about comparing Ange's first 50 games and then potentially first 100 games from Yidvids, I think it was. Yeah, Yidvids, and he was saying how the data shows that from what he's seen, there's enough data to suggest that the Ange project won't work, and he's myth busting, I guess. Which I think is right, because he's basically, when you actually take the first 50 games, Klopp, Arteta, Ange, are all very similar. But because their next 50, they improved a lot, and at the moment, we're on game 53, and
we're regressing.
We're regressing, but that's only 3 games, so you can't. He's extrapolated those 3 games, and over their whole 50 games.
Well, time will tell. Time will most definitely tell, and we'll get a better idea come the end of the season, that's for sure. And last but not least, these boys have pulled this out on the train up to Rangers. Was that you?
I definitely wish it was me, but these guys were definitely having the time of their lives. That's how you do a train trip, I think. So at least someone was having a good away day, that's for sure.
Yeah. All right, well, that is it. That is how the internet did react to the 1-1 draw with Rangers yesterday. Do you want to just get into a few comments?
Yeah, there's reading some quotes here from Stellios. He's been speaking to the Times about how he said last season he was told by Ange that he was not part of the plans, and then they told him they wanted to keep him, and it led to confusion, which is interesting. He's saying, he was asked whether it was a relief to be away from Tottenham. He says, I don't know if relief is the word. In the end, it's over. It's a cycle. That's finished. And the truth is, I have some great memories of the people at Tottenham. The stadium is unique. Every game we played, any day of the week, it was full, which is incredible for a player. Yeah, he has some good memories, Giovanni Lo Celso. He wasn't on the pitch much, unfortunately. Gio. Let's see some of your comments.
That's a bit similar, though, because obviously Lo Celso was never in Ange's plans, right?
Well, he was until he was.
But even when he was, he didn't want to give him the chances.
Even when he was, he didn't want to give him the chances. He was back up to Maddison, wasn't he?
He was, but even sometimes when Maddison was injured, he didn't want to go for Lo Celso.
Sometimes, I think predominantly he did, but there were sometimes he didn't, yeah.
I felt like there were a lot of opportunities to play Lo Celso last year, even when he was playing well, and he just didn't. Maybe, you can have similar thoughts about Jed Spence this season, because he wasn't in the plans beginning of the window. Then he says he is in the plans, and he's just not getting the opportunities, even though he's got a new contract as well. Maybe there are some similarities there.
Potentially. I mean, Lo Celso didn't get a new contract.
No, I know that, but regardless of the contract, there are similarities there.
Yeah, and is it a man management issue, or is it? I don't know. I don't know what the reason is. I'm sure Ange can explain, but there's definitely there's definitely an issue with him deciding he's keeping these players around, and then once they're here, he doesn't give them the opportunities that they need. Yeah,
which is really frustrating, particularly in a time like this when we're going through this major injury crisis and players just out on their feet, and we need to give these players these opportunities. There's no other way. Otherwise what? We're just going to keep playing these players and basically waiting to die every game. That's what we're doing.
Yeah.
So anyway, let's look forward to the Southampton game, or let's look ahead, let's say. I don't know about looking forward. Let's look ahead to the Southampton game at St Mary's, Sunday, 7 o'clock kickoff. We're going to go into the predicted lineup first. So in terms of the injury news, what have we got at the moment from Ange Postecoglou's press conference?
So, the injury news is not great. Van der Ven, obviously Romero, remain out for this game. He said Van der Ven, we're going to hear a bit more about the extent of their injuries this week, but they're both definitely injured. He said Ben Davies, though, more positively, the injury is not as bad as first feared, but we might see him before the new year. But apart from that, he's definitely not going to be playing over the next couple of games. And obviously, we know Richarlison, Odegaard, Vicario, all long-term absentees. Mikey Moore, didn't mention him, but I assume he's still out as well. Don't think we had any, as of that we know of, any more injuries from the weekend. From yesterday. So that's positive. But yeah, it's just gutting about Van de Ven that we brought him back and he got re-injured.
Yeah. So, look, it's going to be a very difficult game down at Southampton. It's a ground that we don't usually do that well in. I think we've got one win there since 2018. And the last time we played there was at 3-3 under Conte. I think we won the game before that, but it is a ground that we usually struggle at, which is the reality. If we can get the graphic on screen for the predicted lineup,
we have to 1 minute. Home lineup. Then you have to. There you go.
All right, so it's the away lineup.
Oh,
yeah. So let's get into it.
sorry. Yeah, away lineup. So it's fucking up. 1 sec. Well, let me change it. It's not letting me change it.
Oh God.
It says request failed. Ah, there you go. There you go. Got it.
All right, so let's get into it. 4-3-3 as per usual. It's not coming up on screen. Sorry, guys. Technical difficulties once again.
Don't know what's going on. Sorry. Let's try and... Not there?
Can you do it your end? And what is that bloody alarm? It's like literally non-stop going off.
They're warning us. Don't preview this game.
Literally, it's been going off the whole stream. Does no one want to go to their
it's
car?
the away lineup. There you go. Okay, 1 sec. We'll try and get this right.
We ain't carrying on till we get this right, guys. We ain't carrying on.
There's some problem.
Sign out and sign back in.
Okay, 1 sec. Okay. Away lineup. Okay. There you go.
There we go. Now we can get into the predicted lineup. 4-3-3 as per usual to take down to St Mary's. In goal is obviously going to be Fraser Forster.
Back at his own stomping ground.
Yeah.
Big phrase. So if anyone knows Southampton, it's Fraser Forster, and he's been our best player for the past few weeks, which is incredible to say. But we're going to need him probably on Sunday, because as much as Southampton are bottom of the league, they're still a team that creates chances. So going to need him to make sure keeping that to a minimum.
Yeah. In terms of right back, we've said it a number of times, but I have to pray, I have to believe Jed Spence. He's going to give Jed Spence a go. Surely. He did say a week or two ago that, Spence is here and he's going to get his opportunities over the Christmas break. And this is the game. Surely this is the game.
To be fair, last time we said Spence would play, we were wrong that he was going to play, but he did rest Porro on that game, so we weren't wrong that he was resting Porro. And obviously, I think he is going to rest Porro again, but we can't play Gray there, so it's just going to have to be Spence. He's got no option. So, yeah, Jed Spence. We're going to say his first start of the season. We're going to predict.
Yeah. The two centre backs will be Archie Gray and Radu Dragusin. There's no.
Yeah. Radu and Archie, and look, as much as Southampton are bottom of the league, I still think they're going to have their work cut out for them, because they got strong kind of philosophy. They attack you. They got Archer and Armstrong, who scored a few goals this season. Archer's a nippy player, so they're just going to make sure that the strikers aren't getting joy. I'm not sure if they're going to go two up front, or one up front. Either way, they're going to have to watch out.
Yeah, they create chances no matter who they play against. That's the reality. Left back is going to have to be Destiny Udogie. We got no other option, and he's another one that's being overplayed, and he's just not performing at the levels that we know he can. But Yeah, we got no other option.
Well, he's actually one player I'm quite worried about in the sense that because Tyler Dibling's probably going to be down that side, and he's one real good player for Southampton. I've been really impressed with him since he's come into the team this season, and he usually plays on the right, or either that or like on the right of a midfield three, and he's got unbelievable supreme dribbling ability. So Destiny's just going to have to make sure he's watching him.
Yeah. In terms of the midfield, the first...
interesting.
Yeah, I think we got to put Lucas Bergvall in the 6, in my opinion. I think that's where he's come on the last 3 games, and he's looked really good.
Yeah, we're going to go Bergvall to start. There's 2 ways he can do it. I think either he goes Bergvall to start in the 6, like this, with Sarr in the number 8. There's Pape, probably on the left-hand side. And who's also not in great form, Pape, by the way. And then Deki in the midfield as well. Or does he... I
think that's what he's going to go with.
Or does he bring in Maddison, put Deki on the right? Or does he go Sarr in the 6 and play Deki and Maddison together?
Nah, I would drop Maddison for this game and put Bergvall, Sarr and Kulusevski. That's the midfield I'd go with. Would you not go with that?
Look, we've seen the Deki-Maddison thing work, so maybe this could be a time for it. This could be a game for it, and maybe put Sarr in the 6 if he doesn't trust Bergvall to do that 6 prop.
No, but I also think that because Southampton are such an attacking side and you're asking Bergvall to play as well, I think Bergvall's going to need a bit of protection as well. So
that's what I'm saying, play Sarr in the 6.
Can he do it by himself? I don't know if he can do it by himself. I think we need these 3 because all of these 3 have a bit of aggression about them, but they also can play front foot football as well. So I'll drop Maddison, and I think this gives us a little bit of blend of solidity and also attacking nous.
Okay, so dropping Maddison. Brennan on the right, I'm guessing.
Yeah, it's got to be.
And then Solanke comes, who didn't start on the Thursdays. He comes in up front.
Yeah, and Son.
And then Son off the left. And then that is how we feel like it will go. Obviously, Southampton, we're not sure what formation they're going to play. It could be a 5 at the back. It could be a 4 at the back.
If they're smart, they go 5 at the back.
Yeah, probably. I'm trying to balance it out on who played on Thursday. So Brennan, Son, and Werner started. So Brennan and Son are going to have to start again, with the view of potentially them starting again on Thursday as well. But Solanke obviously didn't, so he should be a bit fresher. Deki didn't as well. Hopefully he's a bit fresher. But it's a big game for Bergvall as well, if he starts in that number 6 position.
Massive game for Bergvall, but I am concerned about that.
Or does he go Sarr in the 6 and Bergvall in the 8?
He could go either or. They might interchange throughout the game, but I'm not decided which one. But because Bergvall has played the 6 over the last 3 games when he's come on, I think he might just start the game with Bergvall in the 6.
When you look on the face of it, you've got Spence, who's not started a game. You've got Bergvall and Gray, who are both teenagers. And also, this will be Bergvall's first start in a Prem game.
Yep.
And Gray.
Second start.
In a Prem game? Oh, because he started at Bournemouth on the right back.
Yeah.
So second start. So, I mean, as much as that's the team we need, it's going to be a tall order, even against a team like Southampton, to make it a comfortable win. It's going to be a difficult.
Of course it will, but you know what? They said coming into this season we didn't sign another midfielder because we want to trust in Bergvall and Gray and believe they got the quality. So that's what we're doing. I know Gray's at centre back and because of lack of options, but Bergvall has worked his way into the team. He deserves this. He deserves this for his performances in the last 3 games. So I'm actually, the most concerning thing for me about this is actually the forward line, because Brennan and Son both played a lot of football at the moment, and they're going to have to play a lot over the next couple of weeks as well. Big game against Manchester United next week. So we've got a severe lack of options in the forward line. Literally, Brennan has to play unless you play a Maddison and then Kulusevski on the right. Do you reckon he could do that, actually?
He could do that. I mean, who do you play before Rangers? We played Chelsea. Maddison didn't start, did he?
No.
So, and he did start on Thursday. So, it could go either way. I mean, is he going to start Maddison against United on Thursday?
He could do Maddison in the field against United and then Kulusevski on the right.
On the right, yeah. Potentially that as well. I guess depending how Bergvall does. I mean, I doubt he'll start on Thursday anyway. But I mean, a lot of different options here. But I think Sunday's a big opportunity to try something. I mean, obviously we need to win. If we don't win that game, the pressure continues to pile on.
In a bigger way as well, because it's Southampton.
Yeah, of course. But also we've got a massive game. I think the pressure will pile on even more if we lose to United than the Southampton game. So we need to have as much fresh legs as possible. So Bergvall, I think we need to give him that opportunity.
So let's run through that lineup again. It's Fraser Forster in goal, Jed Spence right back, Udogie left back, Dragoshin and Gray at centre back, with Bergvall and Sarr alongside Kulusevski, with Brennan on the right, Sonny on the left, and Solanke up top. I hope it's a double pivot of Bergvall and Sarr instead of like having a lone six. That's what I really hope.
Maybe a double pivot, something like that with Deki. And Deki obviously helping out. We know he likes to help out. So that should be a team. I mean, I'd like to say good enough to win, but
it should be.
Depends on how on their physicality. Depends how ready Bergvall and Gray and Spence all are to play in a Premier League game all together. It's one thing having one of them, but all three of them together, you know, that it could that spell disaster? We'll have to wait and see. I think the front three should have enough. You know, Solanke should be a bit fresher. We saw this front three score 3 goals against Chelsea. I think all three of them, did they? Or Brennan, yeah. So, yeah, look, they should have enough to score goals, and we know Southampton make mistakes, so hopefully that should be a team good enough to win.
Yeah, all right, so that is our predicted lineup for the Southampton game. Let's get into the match preview. 1 second, just before we get into the match preview, let's get this off the screen. And now let's get into the match preview for the game against Southampton, which ain't going to be an easy game by any stretch of the imagination. Well, let's be honest, no game is an easy game for Spurs at the moment, particularly in the Premier League. I mean, you look at the last 5 games, you're probably looking at 2 of the most out-of-form teams in the Premier League coming up against each other in Southampton and Spurs. No win in the last 5 for either team. They've conceded 12, we conceded 9. We're scoring more than them, and they do have a couple of wins behind their belt at home. But the way Southampton play, they're an aggressive team. They like to attack, and I do worry for us a bit in this game. It's a ground that we don't like going to, really. And with Spurs, going to have a bit of a mix and match team out there probably, and with a forward line that is, you know, running on empty a bit at the moment with Sonny and Brennan Johnson. I do fear for us a bit coming into this game.
Yeah, and I think it's probably right to, because as much as Hampton only have 5 points this season, no game in the Premier League can be taken for granted. They're going to be desperate for points. And you look at, to be fair to them, against some of the bigger sides, even recently, they played Brighton away and they've conceded early, got back in the game, and they had a goal, in my opinion, wrongly ruled out for offside. They should have won that game. You look at the Liverpool game, 2-1 up until late in that game, with Liverpool turning it around late and winning it 3-2. Again, really good performance, and Liverpool really struggled against them. Man City, they lost 1-0, but you know, they hit the bar late on. They could have got back in that game as well. Like, they've put in some really spirited displays. And it was similar to what I was saying when we played Palace away, when they hadn't won a game. And I was saying, even though they haven't won a game, I watched them against like the likes of Liverpool and some good teams, and they really gave them a game, and it was really close, and it could have gone either way. And same with a lot of these Southampton performances, especially against some of the better teams. They haven't maybe got the wins, but a lot of these games could have gone either way very, very easily. And it's only really Southampton shooting themselves in the foot. Now, the benefit of that is if we come up against a team that's going to shoot themselves in the foot, we're quite good at forcing them out, forcing a team to do that, because we're very good, especially when we're on our game. Obviously, our pressing's very good. We saw that against Chelsea in the opening exchanges when we went 2-0 up, that we can still, you know, be quite intense at times in our pressing, and we force Chelsea into some mistakes. Southampton are the kings of shooting themselves in the foot. They're the kings of that.
And we're probably the princes.
Maybe, obviously, yeah, but you could say that. I don't think we've done it as much out of Southampton, but
we definitely did it against Chelsea on the week.
Against Chelsea, we did. I don't think we do it as like. Yeah, we've done it. We've done it quite a bit. We've done it quite a bit.
We've got a history of doing it.
We do have a history of doing it, for sure, and a history of collapsing. But I don't think I've ever seen a team give away as many goals from really bad, unexplainable errors as Southampton do every week. Especially like they do it a lot from. We don't give away too many goals from our playing out the back, I think, as they do. Like we don't just give the opposition. We don't just give it to the opposition, let them run from goal as many times as Southampton do. And with our pressing, that could be obviously an avenue where, even if we're not playing well, there's always a possibility they might just give us a goal and they might just give us opportunities. But when they don't do that, like against Brighton, they can get a result, and they played very well in that game. But if I remember that Liverpool game, they were great, Southampton, and Liverpool were really, really poor on their day, but they just gave them 3 goals. They passed it straight to Szoboszlai, who scored. The one of them, Salah's goal, the keeper was nowhere, and Salah just puts in an empty net out of nothing. And then they had an inexplicable handball in the box for no reason, like really tough to take for Russell Martin. And basically 3 goals they gave him where Liverpool were poor on the day. So even it could be one of those games where even when we're not playing well, we could just win because they just give us the goals.
Yeah, I would say like in those games you're talking about, they did play well and they did show signs that there could be potentially some improvement if they stop the rot at the back and stop just gifting opposition chances. But I felt like in the last 2 games, yeah, they created a few chances in the early stages against Chelsea, but they did end up losing 5-1, which, Chelsea both had a bit of a changed side out, but I think Chelsea dominated them. And
again, but even in that game, I was watching it, Chelsea were poor in the first 20 minutes. And what happened was, they literally gave him a goal. The keeper passed it straight to Nkunku, and he put it in the empty net.
That's what I said. Southampton did create some in the first 20 minutes, but I think once Chelsea got on top.
But I'm saying Chelsea weren't playing well, is my point, and they gave him a goal. They literally gave him a goal, and then all of a sudden, Chelsea in the ascendancy.
But I look at the last game, they didn't play well by any stretch of the imagination. They couldn't even fashion a chance against Aston Villa at Villa Park last week. I mean, they didn't have a shot on goal. I think they had 4 shots in general. I mean, Villa completely stifled them. And I think for the first time, playing against one of the better sides in the league, they just looked really toothless.
Yeah, they only lost 1-0. Going to Villa Park is not easy, and better teams have gotten worse results there. But yeah, obviously Villa stifled them. That happens. That can happen in this league, and that definitely happened. But I'm saying I've seen enough evidence against better teams that they always give them a game. And even that game, as you say, yeah, maybe it should have been more, but it only finished 1-0. And when a game's only 1-0 late in the game, anything can happen, can't it? So it's what's it called? Southampton, it's not going to be an easy game, but it's one of those where we could still win even when we're not playing well.
Yeah, it's true. And like I said before, in terms of struggling at this ground, 3-3 last time there in Antonio Conte's last game. What was that? The time before that, was that a draw? 1-1? Back in 2021. I'm just trying to get
that was
the record there, because it really is bad, our record at St Mary's. So you've got, one second, yeah, here we go. You got 3-3 last time, 1-1 the time before. Then we beat them 5-2 with that game with Kane and Son just on fire.
Yeah.
Before that, 1-1. 1-0 to Southampton in 2020, 2-1 to Southampton in 2019.
That was when Kane tore his hamstring.
Yeah.
And the other one, that was when Ward-Prowse scored a free kick.
1-1 in 2018. And then, so basically, since 2018, we've played them 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 times at St Mary's and only won once.
Yeah, but I never read too much into these things. I don't think that should have a bearing whether we win or not. But yeah, it's not great. I don't know why that is. Is it because it's South Coast, the wind? I don't know. What do you put your finger on why we can't have a great record at Southampton? And the only time we did win was no fans, right? So
yeah, with Sonny scoring 4 goals.
There was no fans in the stadium then.
Yeah.
So I don't think that, again, I don't really hold too much weight to these things when I think whether we'll win or not. But it's not great, not a great look, is it?
No, it's not a great look at all. And you're talking about some.
But it doesn't matter because they haven't been in the league. This is the worst one of all, though, the one we're facing.
Yeah, do you think so? This is the worst Southampton side that we've seen?
Well, 5 points after. How many Southampton sides would have had so little points?
It's true, but when you're watching them play, they feel like they deserve more than 5 points.
Sure, but these other teams are much more capable of getting points, clearly.
Well, they might beat us, and you might say something different then. But, I mean, some of these teams have been relegated. that we're talking about.
Yeah, not with. I mean, yeah, maybe. I think looks like for them. I don't think Southampton will break the record for the least points, but at the moment they're on course to be down there for quite a lot.
But when you watch them play, you don't feel like they're that bad.
No.
So do you think there's something deceiving going on, or is it?
Yeah, probably.
Because it's literally just these stupid individual errors that are putting them in this situation.
Yeah, but they're doing it every game.
Yeah.
It's really it's one thing if they're doing it on a one-off, but like every single game they're just doing the same mistakes, like in terms of playing out the back and giving it straight to the opposition. So when you're doing it like that, and I know that at times they play really good football and they're brave, and I give them credit for that, but like if you're just like, let's say if you got the ball at the back and you're just giving it to the striker who's scoring, that's not good. That's not a good team to do that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's like bad. That's terrible. Like, so that's a sign of a bad team. And now, can they play good football? Yes. Maybe it's just a good team with bad players. Maybe, I don't know. But either way, the quality, like the mistakes they are making, are shambolic. They really are shambolic. So I think you can't really ignore that as much as they do. Obviously, they're capable of good performances and they're capable of making things difficult for good teams. The mistakes they're making are amateur.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. And regardless of that, though, like I feel like we can go up there and score, and they'll probably gift us a goal or two. But
also, they're not very clinical.
I'm not confident. No, not at all. But I'm not confident at all of going up there and going down there and getting 3 points.
No, but that's more because of the how we are at the moment, and it's going to be a bit of a story. I feel like it's going to be one of those games where we don't play well, but we might just win anyway because they gift us a goal, kind of thing.
I hope so.
And I wouldn't even be surprised if that happens.
But you wouldn't also be surprised if we go there and don't take away anything from there.
If we lose, I'll be surprised.
At this point, I wouldn't be.
I would be surprised if we lose. If we draw, I wouldn't be surprised. But I'm still expecting a win, even though we're in a bad way. Don't get twisted. We're not playing well, and anyone, it seems, can give us a game right now, and we're out on our feet. But can we go up to Southampton and if we get an early lead, score a couple of early goals, like we did. Like, let's say we have the start we did against Chelsea. I don't think we would blow it like we did against Chelsea. But at the moment, no, you can't take anything for granted.
So, because you said that, right, and you'll be very surprised if we lose. If we do go out there and lose, where does that leave Ange?
I mean, look, we're in a difficult way. Where does it leave him? Under pressure. He's under pressure. There's no doubt about it. I'm just because I'm saying I want to keep him, it doesn't mean he's not under pressure.
No, I'm not saying that. But where does it leave him in terms of the hierarchy's thoughts on him, on the project? Does it put his job in massive short-term jeopardy?
It's in short-term jeopardy right now. I don't think that. I don't think it's. Maybe it'll change if we lose to Southampton and lose badly, for sure. For sure it does, because that's an unacceptable result, even in the circumstances we're in right now, of course. But I don't think I don't think I'd sack him. Obviously, we got a big game on Thursday, and if we lose that one as well, then all of a sudden things are getting very, very hairy. I still wouldn't sack him, but it'd be obviously the pressure is going to continue to build. And if we lose to Southampton and we lose to United and go out of the cup, then there's going to be massive pressure on him. And then we've got Liverpool coming up after that.
You're looking at it, right? Levy out chance at Bournemouth, Levy out chance at Rangers. Songs doing the rounds on social media regarding Levy before the Rangers game. Coupled with the bad form, if we do lose to Southampton and those spring up again, we know what Levy does when these songs start propping up. Do you think that he'll wield the axe potentially and in fear that will happen in the home game against Manchester United?
Will he wield the axe before the United game?
Yeah.
No.
Why not?
He won't do it because we've already. I don't think they say he's in no danger and then a couple of results later he gets sacked. I just don't think that's going to happen.
That's what a vote of confidence is usually.
No, usually a vote of confidence when they're like, it's usually like, we're not going to sack him, but he's under pressure, kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
I don't. That's not always. Apparently, it's not what we've said. Look, I think, as I've said, Levy usually would have sacked him by now, and he hasn't. so I don't think he sacks him before the United game. I think we're going to give him. I think we're going to give him a bit more time. I think we're going to give him time. I think we understand that we're in a very bad way with injuries. We're in a very bad way at the moment in terms of the state of the squad. And yes, we're underperforming. Don't get me wrong. But I think it seems anyway the club understands that we just need to get to January. We need to get reinforcements. We need to get players back, and things will start to turn. And until then, we might have to go through. I said this before the Chelsea game. I think it's clear to me right now we might have to go through some short-term pain, and it's not. I don't see it getting too much better right now. We might get the odd result, but I think it's going to be a rough patch. Hopefully, one of those results we might get is Sunday, but it's not going to be an easy few weeks until January. I don't think.
For me, I don't think it's the right decision to do it. But I just fear, when you do start hearing these songs against the board, it does usually only go one way.
Just stop singing them then.
Huh?
So stop singing them.
I haven't sung them. I haven't been at a game to sing them. I've been here in the watch along. But it does usually go one way when the fans are in unison and Levy starts feeling the pressure. He does usually just sack the board. So sack the manager. That is what usually happens. And with the rut that we're in at the moment, Southampton loss will be a significant loss in terms for Ange Postecoglou as well. So I am quite fearful that might happen. I am.
I don't think he sacks him, even if we lose, personally. Look, let's just hope we don't lose. But if we do, I don't think he sacks him.
Either way, it's going to be a very difficult game down at St Mary's. I'm not confident whatsoever going into it. What is your score prediction?
I'm going 2-1 Spurs. I think it'll be, again, I wouldn't be surprised if it's another unconvincing display and Southampton make things very difficult. I think the way they play should suit us, to be honest, so that's a benefit. And also the amount of mistakes they make and the way we press hopefully should lead to some sort of good results. I just think it'll be one of those games where unconvincing, Southampton, mistakes at the back, gift us 2 goals. And we're going to win the game 2-1. That's what I'm thinking.
I'm going to go for 2-2. I think there's going to be. I think it'll be a bit of a tennis game at times. I think we're going to give away chances. They're going to give away chances. I think we can get a couple of goals, but I think we're going to concede a couple of goals as well. And I think Southampton are going to be bang up for this. They'll be rested for a week as well. I think Southampton are actually coming into this smelling blood a little bit, seeing the way Spurs are playing. But obviously Spurs should be asserting our authority on this game, because man for man, we're clearly a lot better than what we're showing. We're clearly a lot better than the Southampton team with only 5 points. But we're better than Crystal Palace and Luton as well, and Ipswich as well.
I feel like with Southampton though, they only know one way of playing. It's not like, for example, when you say they smell blood, I get what you're saying, but let's say it's you're playing Everton, who usually play pragmatic, but then they'll go for it in certain games. And let's say we were playing Everton or Goodison, they would smell blood and they wouldn't just be pragmatic. They will go for it. But Southampton always go for it. They always just know one way of playing. So I don't think that's going to change in this game.
No, I'm not saying that. But what I mean, I think they'll look at this game and they'll really fancy themselves to get some points.
If we can just stop Tyler Dibbling, I think that stops a lot of how Southampton can get the ball up the pitch. He's so good, such a strong dribbler, and he's one player that he can be a one-man attack at times. I've been so impressed with him. He's got unbelievably broad shoulders, and it's so hard to shake off the ball. If you stop him having an influence, I think that goes a long way to stopping Southampton.
Yeah. All right. Well, Sim's going for the 2-1 win. I'm going for a 2-2 draw. I want to know your score predictions in the comments section below. And that is our match preview for the Southampton game, in a game that I am really worried about. Let's hope Dr. Tottenham doesn't rear its ugly head once again. How many games has Southampton won this season? 1?
Yep.
Yeah, well... let's just hope.
Tottenham are the only club where you see a team on poor form and you're more worried than they're on good form.
Literally, man, it's a joke. It's an absolute joke. But yeah, that is our Southampton preview out of the way, and let's finish off talking about our predictions going into the weekend. Me and Sim going head to head in predicting Premier League outcomes. Predict the Prem 139 to Sim, 148 to me. 5 points for a completely correct scoreline. 1 point for a correct result. Starman, once you pick that man, you can't pick them again for the rest of the season. And let's get into the weekend's action. Arsenal against Everton. Sim's gone for 3-0. I've gone for 2-0. Look, Everton been all right in recent games. Arsenal, a bit up and down. I felt like they probably deserved more out of the Fulham game than they got. They drew 1-1. And at home against an Everton side who are going to set up to frustrate, I feel Arsenal will have a lot more quality than Everton, so I've gone for 2-0.
Yeah, I feel like Arsenal won't mind if Everton sit back because they just can rely on that set piece weapon they got, and they still got the quality there with Odegaard and Saka. I think Everton are going to struggle to contain this Arsenal team, and I think going forward, Everton just lack any real threat right now. Calvert-Lewin better. I don't see them troubling Arsenal, even when Arsenal have a few injuries at the back. Still see a clean sheet, and I still see a resounding win, so 3-0.
Liverpool-Fulham. Difficult game, this one, for Liverpool and obviously for Fulham. 2-1 we've both gone for. Liverpool actually nicely rested coming into this, seeing as their game against Everton was postponed. But look, I don't think that will take away from the difficulty for the game, because Fulham set up so well. They'll frustrate Liverpool, but Liverpool will have enough quality to get over the line.
Yeah, I think Marcus Silva is obviously such a smart manager. Fulham are a smart team, and I'm sure they're, the way Smith Rowe, Iwobi, Jimenez are playing at the moment, they're going to make things difficult for Liverpool for sure. And I'm sure they'll probably, Konate's out, so maybe Liverpool aren't at their best at the back, and I'm sure they'll create some chances. Adama Traore as well. Marcus Silva's a very clever manager. He always adjusts his team so that he can exploit Liverpool's weaknesses. I remember the game last year at Anfield, when Fulham played there. It finished 3-2, but Liverpool just hit 3 goals from outside the box just because of the quality they have. I think Trent and McAllister and Endo just hit 3 beauties, and they just end up winning 3-2. I feel like something similar might happen here. Like, Fulham play a brilliant tactical game, but just Liverpool just have that quality just to get over the line and sneak it. So I see a 2-1, but a very close game.
Moving on to Newcastle against Leicester. I've gone for 3-1 to Newcastle. Sim's gone for 2-2 here.
Yeah, I think Leicester riding a wave of the new manager bounce. I know they've 2 games they've probably got lucky in, beating West Ham 3-1 and getting a 2-2 draw against Brighton. But I see them going to St James's Park, and it's not going to be... Obviously, Newcastle need the win here, and they're going to go for it. But I see Leicester just catch them out on a couple of counters. Vardy's in great form at the moment, and I think they're just riding a wave, and I can feel them carrying on this wave here. And Rude's still got this 25-match unbeaten run, so I'm going to go for them to get a 2-2 draw at St James's.
Yeah, I think this run for Rude is coming to an end this game. It's a very difficult game, St James's Park. Newcastle not on the greatest form. They're winless in 4 games, 2 losses and 2 draws, and I think they get back to winning ways this weekend. I think Eddie Howe is just going to bang into them. They just have to win this game at home against a promoted side. They've got enough quality to do it. And yeah, I think Leicester will make it difficult for them at times, but I think Newcastle will end up winning the game, and I've gone for 3-1. Next up is a really interesting game, Wolves against Ipswich. Sim's gone for 1-0 to Ipswich. I've gone for 1-1. It does seem like the writing's on the wall for Gary O'Neill a little bit at the moment with the results he's getting. I mean,
looked in tears at the end of that. Game.
They're conceding too many goals at the moment. 2-1 against West Ham in a really important game last time out. Held 4 against Everton. Held 4 against Bournemouth at home. But I mean, it's madness because the game before that they went to Craven Cottage and won 4-1. I mean, you just can't write this kind of stuff. But yeah, I think Wolves are going to set up. I think both these teams are going to, probably think that they can go and win the game, and I think they'll probably just cancel each other out. Both of these teams just can't really buy a win at the moment.
Yeah, I think Wolves are just very reliant on Cunha at the moment. I guess Strand Larsen's getting goals, but I think Cunha's just the hub of it. He creates everything. Even when Strand Larsen's scoring, it's usually Cunha probably assisting. I just think they're in a way at the moment. They're very low on confidence. They're struggling for points. Ipswich are so unlucky last week against Bournemouth. 1-0 up, 2 last-minute goals, and they ended up losing. And I just feel like they're going to go to Molineux. They're going to play as they usually do, and they're just going to sneak a win here. And it could be Gary O'Neill's last game. So going for a 1-0 win to Ipswich.
Nottingham Forest against Aston Villa. We've gone for the same again in 2-2. Really hard game to call this because obviously Forest going really well at the moment. Aston Villa seem to have turned a little bit of a corner, getting some results. However, away from home they are on a 3-match losing run. I feel like Forest will be a really hard nut to crack for Aston Villa. So I couldn't really split the side. So I've gone for 2-2.
Yeah, I agree. I think there's rumours Watkins might not be available as well this weekend. That could be a big hit, albeit John Duran's not done too badly when stepped in. I think Forest...
Is Watkins injured?
Potentially, yeah.
Oh, really?
So Forest at home, I think, in a derby game as well, isn't it? So they're going to be right up for it. They're in great form. I mean, Chris Wood is in massive goal-scoring form. I can see them exploiting Villa's high line. Are they going to be good enough to hold off Villa? I've gone for Villa just to get a couple of moments as well. So I've gone for a 2-2 draw.
Brighton against Crystal Palace in another derby, the strangest derby in the Premier League, probably this one. Sim's gone for 1-1. I've gone for 2-1 to Brighton.
Yeah, these home games, they've struggled a bit against maybe some of the lower sides a bit, Brighton. They drew with Ipswich, they drew with Southampton. Wolves as well, and I'm backing them to get another draw here. Palace have really turned a corner a bit in terms of they're still down the bottom, but they're 4 points to the relegation zone, even though they're in 17th, 4 games unbeaten, and the performances are starting to get better, and their results are starting to improve. And I think since Eze's come back in, a big improvement. I think though that those 3 centre-backs, Chalobah, Lacroix, Guehi, are really tough to break down. I think that wing-back system as well is going to be difficult for Brighton to deal with. I think they're well set up to combat what Brighton give them on the counter. Brighton obviously love to keep possession. They like to hound the opposition, and I see them getting a moment of quality. But I see them being frustrated here, so I'm going for a 1-1.
Yeah, I think Brighton and the home fans will be bang up for this because these sets of fans just hate each other, and I think it'll be a bit of a raucous atmosphere at the Amex, and I feel that will give Brighton a bit of something extra. Palace are a bit of draw specialists at the moment. I think 4 draws or something in the last 5 or 6. So I think it'll be 2 teams that will be very hard-working and bang at it, but I think Brighton, with just the extra bit of quality, will just about get over the line in this derby, so I've gone for 2-1 to Brighton. Manchester derby. This one is a very interesting one at the City of Manchester, at the Etihad. Sim's gone for 1-1. I've gone for 2-2. I think both of these teams are going to go for it. Obviously, Amorim plays his 3 at the back system. Man City, even though whatever you want to say about their form, they have only dropped points or in one of the home games, which was to us in recent times. So I'm looking at the way Man City play, and I'm looking at the way Man United play, and I feel like there is something in here for Man United. And as much as Man U probably haven't been getting the results, I do think their performances might deserve a bit more. I look at that game against Forest, as much as they lost the game, I thought they did deserve a bit more out of it. So Man U will go up there with probably more optimism that they've been up to the Etihad in a long time, and Man City probably going into it thinking, oh God, what's going to happen here, because they're just in a massive rut at the moment. So I've gone for 2-2.
Yeah, City just, again, similar to Tottenham, just physically really struggling at the moment, and I see them really struggling to contain Man United with their wing-back system. Amad Diallo out wide, and maybe Rashford in behind, who's very good in these games against Man City a lot of the time. So I do think United can frustrate Man City. Are they good enough to go there and get a clean sheet? I probably don't think so, but I see maybe a bit of a tired Man City scraping a draw here at home to Man United.
Chelsea, Brentford. Sim's gone for 3-1. Well, we've both gone for 3-1 here, and Brentford do not travel well, and I don't expect it to change here. Chelsea, free scoring Chelsea at the moment. They're scoring so many goals. I think 4 against Tottenham, 3 against Aston Villa. So they're just literally just swatting teams away in terms of how freely they're scoring. And Brentford, whatever you want to say for them, they're really open at the back, and they're conceding a lot of goals this season. So if this was at Brentford, I might have gone for a closer game, but because it's at Stamford Bridge, I think it will be one-way traffic, more or less.
Yeah, and as you say, their away form's opposite to their home form. Transitionally, they're quite open sometimes, and I see Chelsea really exploiting that, especially with the front line players they got at the moment in the form they're in. So Chelsea at home to Brentford, gone for a 3-1 win.
Southampton against Tottenham. Sim has gone for 2-1 to Tottenham.
Yeah, bad news is Tottenham are not playing very well at the moment, and we're really struggling for a good level of performance. Good news is you don't have to play well to beat Southampton with the goals they give you. So I'm going for an unconvincing 2-1 win to Spurs, with Southampton gifting Tottenham a couple of goals. Yeah,
unfortunately, I can't see a win in this game. Can't see a win in any game at the moment. But yeah, you're right. Southampton do gift you chances and do gift you goals. So let's hope that does happen. But I've gone for 1-1 just because Spurs just look completely out on their feet at the moment. They look like they've run out of gas, and Southampton will be a week rested in this game with no European football. And Spurs played quite a strong team in Europe on Thursday night. So more tired legs for Spurs this weekend, and I think Southampton will reap the benefits and take a good point from Spurs at St Mary's. And it's also a ground that Spurs haven't done well in recent years. So I've gone for 1-1. And last but not least, Bournemouth against West Ham. I've gone for 2-1 to Bournemouth. At the Vitality, they're always really strong, and I feel that they'll beat this West Ham side, who did get the win last time out against Wolves, but it wasn't that convincing. And I feel like Lopetegui is probably in his last couple of games as manager at West Ham, and I think Bournemouth will heap some more misery onto them.
Yeah, I've gone for 1-1. I think West Ham will set up to frustrate. We know Bournemouth like to press high, be very aggressive, and I think if West Ham just clog up that space and they just make sure that they're not giving away easy chances, they could frustrate this Bournemouth team, who we know Evan Nilsson and Semenyo, they like to press from the front. They're so aggressive. But West Ham, I think away from home, the last time they played away from home was Newcastle, and they got a really good result. I just see them frustrating Bournemouth here, so I went for a 1-1 draw.
And let's look at the star men. Sim has gone for Enzo Fernandez.
Great form. He's in great form. He's getting goal contributions every week. I think at home to Brentford, I think this could be another game where he gets involved in the forward play. I was like, will I go for Palmer? But I don't know if I wanted to play my Palmer card yet. And then apart from Palmer, I was like, do I want to risk?
This probably would have been a great game to use your Palmer card, actually.
Yeah, but I just didn't want to risk a Maresca roulette with any of the wingers. I was thinking, should I go Palmer? I went, you know what, Enzo's in great form. This could be just a good time to cash in on that one. So I went for Enzo.
Yeah, I've gone for Chris Wood at home to Aston Villa. We both predicted 2-2, so we both predict goals in the offing. And what better player than Chris Wood for Nottingham Forest? 10 goals already this season, and I feel he could get more. He's obviously on penalty duty as well. So I'm backing Chris Wood to get some goal contributions this weekend at home to Aston Villa in a Midlands derby. So Sim's gone for Enzo. I've gone for Chris Wood. Let me know, who do you think is going to come out on top on Predict the Prem this week? But that is that for Predict the Prem. So what do you reckon? You're gonna make some points up?
Of course, definitely. A lot lost my way last week, but back on track this week. Whatever.
All right. Can you send me a link? Can we bring someone on? We've had a request. People. Got a surprise for you guys. Just give me 1 sec.
All right, what are you guys said in the chat? I'm not sure Ange will survive the Tamworth game, says Jono71.
The Tamworth game.
3 more games for Ange, says Johnny. Jalen, if we don't see Ange takes us further, then he should go regardless of the past history of the club. We should win 2-1.
Bring them up on screen.
Oh, yeah. What was that one from J Lim? Their manager considered as stubborn as Ange. They'll play front foot, which should play into our hands. Sack Ange, hire a new manager, have a honeymoon period, go through another bad patch, sack the manager, rinse, repeat. Are we not tired of this?
Yes, we are tired of this. We are very tired of it.
Sorry, Ben, I disagree with your, I think it means predictions. I think Spurs and Man United will win on Sunday. Come on, you Spurs, says KPV.
Let's hope I'm wrong. KPV's still trying to claim he don't have Sol Campbell in his ultimate team. But then he also said that EA gave him to him.
Okay, PV. I just think he's just tired of Timo's inconsistency, says Eric. We have 18-year-old, could be inconsistent and shows flashes. He's an international experienced player. He should be better.
Who's that?
Timo.
Of course he should be better. The standards that he showed last night was nothing short of disgraceful.
Mm-hmm.
It really was nothing short of disgraceful. I just don't understand it. Like, we've seen bad performances from Timo, but that is one of his worst performances in the Spurs shirt.
Shocking.
How can a professional footballer as consistently dribble it out as much as he does? It just doesn't make sense. Seriously, like, have you ever known a professional footballer that gets paid as much as him as well, that dribbles the ball out as much? Like, something doesn't add up here.
He's working against us. It's the only reasonable explanation.
Oh God!
I don't disagree with the protest, but it will certainly kill off Ange as a byproduct.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. Oh, Spurs. What's
going on?
It's coming now.
Kulu Sexy says #trust Ange.
#trust Ange. I mean, I'm losing trust, but I am trusting him. But he is working with a bit of hand ties behind his back at the moment. But he's not doing himself any favours. That's the reality.
BSD29 says Ange publicly calling out a player when he said Romero shouldn't have come out in public with his comments about the board. He mentioned, he was talking about that in his presser today, saying he's sick of the excuses in this club about, any mythical reason that we can't be competitive. And if he said if any player feels like those reasons are holding us back, then they are not the right people for the club.
Well, I don't know what to say anymore with this football club. I don't know what to say. But I know someone that does know what to say and will have a lot to say. Let's bring him on. Looks like he's under a bunker again. Stellios from Tottenham away. What's going on, Stellios?
Yeah, hi Ben, hi Sim. Look, I can only apologise about my internet. Where I live, it's just abysmal, and until I move, which will be in the new year, I'm always going to have this poor internet. So it is what it is.
Who's your provider? Call him out publicly, as Ange does.
Well, it's BT. I've tried to switch to Virgin, but they won't put the fibre optic cables to my house. So even if I change provider, I'm still going to be on some 1990s wire or whatever it is. I'm not a technical guy, so it is what it is, man.
#BT out.
BT out, Sky out.
Come on, Stel, what do you want to get into? Because, we've been talking for a while. Timo this, Timo that. What do you want to talk about?
Yeah, look, I want to say this first, okay? I don't say things to be controversial. I say it because that's what I truly believe and it's what I think. And a lot of people in our... Look, I'm going to say it as it is, guys, because it's the only way I can do it. I can't try and be something I'm not. Our fan base... I'm really, really sorry if anyone's watching this show or watches it later on and this upsets you. Our fan base is the problem. We have got one of the most low standard accepting fan bases of any so-called big club. And I want to explain what I mean by this before everyone loses their minds in the chat. Okay. Last season, when we had Ange, I came on this show and I said, we've got to back this guy, get behind Ange. And I said, the guy deserves a season because he's lost Harry Kane. Every previous manager for the last 8-9 years has had Harry Kane. This guy starts his job at Spurs and he loses the best player we've got. I mean, give him a break. And we didn't bring in a replacement. So give him a year. Let's see what he does. And then next season we can begin to judge. And the one non-negotiable I had, and I came on your show, you clipped the video, and
I remember what you. I think I know
reposted
what you're going to say. I remember.
I'll repeat it because maybe some who watch YouTube have got a short memory, right? I said the only non-negotiable I've got is re-signing Timo Werner.
Yeah.
If we re-sign Timo Werner, I'm Ange out. And I came on the show and I said, I'm done. He's a yes man. He's a puppet. He's another problematic manager. He's another manager that's going to toe the line. And, you know, you guys basically said, well, shouldn't you wait until the end of the window before we make any decisions? And I said, no, because if you're a manager and you accept Joe Rodon, Dan Juma, Clement Longley, I'm sorry, you're accepting failure. And this goes for the previous managers as well. The difference this time was that after Conte's rant, he told every Spurs fan and every rival fan how it works at Spurs. For 10 minutes, he told us the truth. I urge everyone to go back and watch that Conte video. Word for word, man, what he said, we're seeing now. So I said to myself, I now know the truth. So I can't back another manager at this club who accepts anything that the previous managers have accepted. The truth is out now. And that's why I said, for me, Timo Werner is a non-negotiable.
But Stellios, that means you're not going to accept any manager that comes in after Ange, because they're only going to hire managers that are going to accept the way that they work. So what difference is it sacking Ange or hiring another manager?
Right, I'll come to that. I'm going to answer that question. That's a brilliant question, by the way, and I will answer it. I just want to finish what I was going to say, and then I'll definitely answer that. On that video, when I called in 6 months ago, I said, signing Timo Werner is a sign of things to come. We've seen this before. 24 years of this poisonous ownership, this diabolical chairman and board of directors. I know what's coming. I don't need to be told Eze, Neto, Ivan, Tony, Gallagher are coming to Spurs. It's not going to happen. I said this on that video. It didn't happen. Fans, in the comments of that video, I got slammed by the fan, absolutely battered. Guess what? I'm owed 900 apologies because I called it spot on. And what we're seeing now is exactly what I said. I said the wheels would come off. I said we haven't built a squad good enough. I said that Ange is a yes man and a puppet, and Timo Werner was the catalyst. And it's all played out that way because I've seen it all before. To answer your question, Ben, and it's an excellent question, what's the point of getting rid of Ange? Because the next manager will be the same problem. For me, Levy and Enoch have to go. And until fans stand up to them, then the fans are the problem. If this upsets you, I'm not going to apologise because it's the truth. Either we demand we behave like a big club and we demand that we do everything in our powers to try and compete at the highest level, because that's what this stadium was for. That's what that training ground was for. That's what all these riches we've now managed to acquire were for. And we're not seeing it play out that way. Regarding Ange, if we sack him, will things change at Spurs? Yes and no. No, I still don't think we'll win a trophy because that's what Enoch and Levy are about. They're not interested in silverware. That's not why they're here. They don't have the heart, hunger, or passion for it. But if we sack Ange, I do believe with these players, we'll be more competitive, we'll have better game management, and we will have far greater control of matches than what I'm seeing. It's all good and well, fans saying, oh, but we've got injuries, injury crisis. They're knackered. We didn't have an injury crisis when we lost to Palace, Ipswich, and Brighton. There was no injury crisis then. So that, for me, is an excuse. We didn't have we had some injuries, some key injuries. No Bentancur, no Richarlison, no Odebert, no Romero, no Van de Ven, and we went and smashed City 4-0. So we can't pick and choose when we use injuries as an excuse and when we say things like, oh, but we've got injuries, we've got problems. That's what the manager gets paid to do, to navigate through these challenges. If I know my team is knackered, they need a rest, do you know what I do? I change my tactics to accommodate that period of time until I can get players back. Stop the high line. Stop the inverted fullbacks. Stop trying to play it out from the back, which puts us under pressure. alleviate some of the stresses that we are putting on the players, change the way you play just to navigate through the period. But this guy doesn't do it. He's like, no, this is who we are. This is how we play. I don't understand any fan who thinks Ange is the answer to Tottenham Hotspur. He has not progressed us. He's regressed us. We've gone backwards under Ange. I gave him that year. That transfer window summed it up to me. I knew what was coming, and I said it, and it was spot on, word for word. Everyone go back and watch what I said in June. Word for word, it's come true. So I hear what you're saying, Ben, but for me, another manager definitely makes us competitive for the top 4. And here's the other thing. I actually believe if we had a proper manager in place that cared about defending as much as attacking, and was more tactically astute in key moments of games, that could read the game better and adapt to it, I think with these players, he could win the Europa Cup. I think another manager with this squad could win the Europa Cup. I think Ange is going to blow it. And I think he is blowing it. In fact, we are. Look around us. We're blowing it.
What manager are you looking at to come in? Like, who would you like?
I don't want a gung-ho manager. And I think if we have an ultra-pragmatic manager, like another Conte or Mourinho, the fans will just turn on them. We don't want someone that takes more of a defensive approach. We just lose our minds because we must play a certain way, and we must play the Tottenham way, and everything must be perfect, and which is a nonsense. I just want winning football. So what I would like that I think is realistic is Areola, I think, is a good shout. The guy at Bournemouth. I think the guy at Brighton's a bit too young. I'd take Marco Silva. I think the manager of Girona, I think he's doing a great job. I'd take him. I just want someone that isn't scared to coach defending, that isn't scared to change the way we play and adapt, even if it's against your principles. Do you know what? Once Arteta went to Arsenal, he inherited Unai Emery's squad. He won the FA Cup in 6 months. Go watch what Arsenal did in the semi-final and the final when they beat Man City and Chelsea. Against Man City, they low-blocked it for 90 minutes and beat them. Arteta changed his way just for that one game to get to the final. I want to see Ange do that consistently, and he doesn't do it, and he's not going to do it. I've seen enough to know he's not going to do it. He's playing players in the wrong position. He's asking players that are good at one thing to do something different. And I just think he's lost a number of players in the dressing room. I saw him speaking to Porro after the game yesterday, and I've coached enough to know when I see something that I can relate to, and he was talking to Porro and trying to say to him, I expect you to do this and that, and you didn't go into that position when you should have done this. And Porro was looking away like this. He wasn't even looking at Ange because he felt like he was being told off. And then Ange could sense that. And then when he realized that Porro just wasn't engaged enough in that conversation, Porro's like, yeah, nodded his head, okay. And then he gave him a tap on the back and Porro walked off. To me, I've seen that before. That's a player that does not fully believe in what he's doing.
You lost many dressing rooms, Stell, before I see.
I've learned, listen, I've lost players in the past, absolutely. Yeah, right? To say that, hey, everything I did is amazing and I'm the GOAT and I should manage Tottenham. Listen, banter me away, right? Go for it, guys. Do your best. But I've been in that situation where then I've walked away from it and I've reflected and I've said, do you know something? That player did not listen to what I said. That player did not believe in what I said. I could feel it, And I think Ange knows. And you're seeing it because these desperate measures he's taking, like playing Van de Ven and Romero when they weren't fully fit. Like yesterday, Johnson was rubbish, absolute crap. Son has been rubbish for weeks and he was poor again. Maddison, all right, he was okay. But what does he do? He slams Werner. Buddy,
Well, he was asked about
You
Werner.
signed Werner twice. Sorry?
He was asked about Werner, so he spoke about him.
But he slammed him. He had a go at him. Like, hold on.
Not only did he slam
the
him,
one
Stel, but
hand-
also 24 hours before that, he says he wouldn't criticise a player in public.
Ben, this is a guy that's losing the belief of the players. I'm telling you. He says one thing, he does the other. But we're used to that with Ange. He's been doing it for ages now. He says one thing, he does the other. What he did with Werner, you wanted him. I could see it 6 months ago. 6 months ago, I said, it is a disgrace that Spurs have signed Timo Werner. It's an abomination that this caliber of player has come into Tottenham and we think that we are going to go places. Timo Werner was the red flag. That was everyone should have hit, panic, what are we doing? And he allowed that. He accepted that. And now he's saying he needs to fix up. Fix up what? He's a rubbish football player. Timo Werner is not good. And he's saying he should be better. He expects more. Ange, listen, man, you're talking absolute nonsense. It's rubbish what he's talking about. And
Would you sack him tonight if you had the chance?
Yes. Yes, I would.
For what though? Because I'm telling you, I said it before, but any other manager that comes in under this ownership are all going to be expected to accept these kind of signings, accept the direction of the club, and accept the way this club works. That's just the reality of the situation.
Ben,
I think we need to be focusing our anger not at Ange, at other people, and that's the top.
Listen, I've been to the protests. I've done the demonstrations. I bang the Levy out drum on my channel every other week. I have debates and arguments with fans on this all the time. I can't do any more, right? It's down to all the other channels and all the other YouTubers and all the fans in the comments and all the people in the media that moan, complain. But the problem is, I think most of those fans, they're doing it because things aren't going well. If we win the next 3 games, you won't hear a word about Levy out. You won't hear a word about Enoch out. You won't even get that protest that's meant to be planned before Liverpool off the ground. I bet it all collapses. I've seen it before, and I said the other day, this isn't my first Levy out rodeo, man. I'm a regular. I'm like Buckaroo. I'm on that horse.
If we beat United, yeah, probably for sure. The Levy out protest probably dies down a bit.
Yeah, so I don't believe fans actually mean what they say. If fans really want a change at this club, like if they genuinely want things to change at Spurs, they should all unite and start making it untenable for this chairman, making it toxic, making it uncomfortable, without violence and breaking the law and all that stuff. But we should be doing the kinds of
How
things
do you do that?
other clubs do. Well, I spoke to the chairman of the trust, and I've put a suggestion to him, and he said he's going to try, because I think all the channels, or most of them, need to unite together behind a common method of how we're going to do it. And it's not emails and letters, either a unified protest or a unified boycott or a unified demonstration, or a match where nobody spends money on food and drink, for example. Something that we can all get behind and agree on. And I can't lead that, guys. I can't lead that because I'm too much on the front foot. Someone needs to spearhead it, and I've suggested that Martin. I've suggested to him. I think you might be the right person to do it if you can bring everyone to the table.
But do you feel like even if that's true, and I probably think if it's be able to be done, that's probably a way to send a message. However, even if you get the big accounts on board and you get this message across, you're not going to get it across to the majority in the stadium. It's just not going to work. I don't think like there's enough people that care enough.
Well, then they've got the club they deserve, right? Don't moan, don't complain, don't blame Mange, don't blame the players, don't blame anyone. Just let's go for another 3 decades then. If there's Spurs fans that don't care, then they're not Spurs fans. If you don't care about your club, you're not a Spurs fan. I'm tired of all the excuses, guys. oh, Man City, they're too wealthy. Okay, Man City are faltering this season. It's open now for someone else to do something.
Because you need it on mass scale. Still, you need it on mass scale. You need thousands and thousands and thousands of people on board. Not just a few hundred here and there. You need thousands.
I agree, Ben. I totally agree. But see, we struggled to get numbers to the protest for many reasons. Maybe lack of organisation, maybe lack of leadership, maybe people were scared to associate themselves with the protest because I was there and they don't want to associate themselves with me, because I did hear that. I'm just being honest. Fine, I won't go to the protest. But are you guys, as in the public, are you going to turn up then? I'd like to see that.
But what's the goal? So that Tottenham lower their price? Because Tottenham are looking for investment, right? The hierarchy. They're looking for minority stake or whatever. They're open to selling the club if an offer that they deem acceptable comes through. They're open. They've said that. And they haven't said it, but I think it's been reported they're open to selling the club. So is the goal of the protest in the hope that Tottenham will lower their price to make it easier to sell? Is that what we're thinking? Because they're open to selling, it seems, right now. So what do you want to change exactly? Or is the protest in hope that they change their ways? Is that what you're hoping the protest does?
Okay, so it's a few questions there.
Mm-hmm.
My hope is to make their position so uncomfortable, so unenjoyable, and so pressurized that they just want out, which is what happened with Saran and Sugar. That's exactly what happened with Sugar. He just said, I don't want this anymore. How do you do that? If you make enough noise and there's enough negativity and enough toxicity on the club, I don't like saying these things. I don't want culture wars. I don't want YouTube wars. I don't actually want toxicity and poisonous kind of atmospheres. But sadly, this is the only language these wretched owners will understand, because we've seen it in the past. The Levy out chants in the stadium when thousands were chanting it. Levy couldn't handle that, because what happens is, the sponsors get on your case. We don't want to be associated with this. Kit manufacturers, if you stop buying shirts, kit manufacturers, well, we don't want to be a part of this if we're not making sales. Corporate box holders that spend thousands to entertain their guests. A lot of business gets done in these boxes. They don't want a toxic atmosphere. They'll be on the phone to the corporate team at Spurs saying, this isn't a place for me to do business. Right? Suddenly, Nike's on your case. Sponsors are on your case. Corporate box holders on your case. Then there's an emergency board meeting. We can't have this. Then the NFL on the phone. Guys, we protect the brand of the NFL, and right now your brand stinks. We might have to pause the NFL contracts. See, that's how you do it. You squeeze them into a corner where they say, we don't want this anymore. Or, which is what your other question was, force change. But here's the thing. They're not going to change, guys, right? If you look at the stadium, if you look at the revenue streams, if you look at the model they've built, the business model, if you look at the training ground, if you look at the academy, it is 10 out of 10. You cannot fault them. They are outstanding. And do you know why they're outstanding? Because they care about that stuff. They love it. They put their heart, their soul, their energy, their enthusiasm. They threw everything they had into those projects, into those income streams, because they care. You're telling me in 3 decades, they couldn't put together a decent recruitment team, an amazing scouting network, an expertise data analytics team, an outstanding young manager, and put that together and say, right, there's the same love, care, attention, and passion for football. Here's the money we've got. We're going to dump it in there. And we've got the best in the business now to go and make it happen. But they've never done that. They've never, ever done it. They don't put that level of love into the football. And this is my gripe with them. I'm not going to argue that they don't spend. They do spend. We spend, man. But it's spent badly because we don't have the best scouts. We don't have the best networks in place. We don't put the best managers in place. And when we do put the best managers in place, we don't listen to them. We sack them. We don't have the best data analytics. We don't have the best medical department. They've had 3 decades to build that. 3 decades. We've got the longest ownership of any Premier League club. We've got the longest ownership in the history of Spurs. They've had more time to put it together and make it work even if we missed out, guys, even if we fell short, we could look at that and say, Jesus, man, they really gave it a go. When you look at the stadium as a fan, you say, wow, they really gave it a go building the best. When you look at the first team training facility in the academy, I've been there many a time. It's outstanding. It is a phenomenal complex. Well done. You really put everything into it. When you look at our business model, the multiple income streams compared to all our rivals, we smash them all out the park because they put everything they've got into generating income. You cannot tell me that is the same when it comes to the football team, guys. Did you agree with what I've just said?
I 100% agree with the majority of what you say. But look, I like you. I've tried to organize protests at the time. I've been to a couple of protests myself as well, couple of years ago now, and I lost complete kind of drive for it because of the numbers that were turning up, even with the subscriber level that we have, you know, and promoting it on here. No one seemed to turn up, and I just lost complete drive for it. And you look at it, the stadium that we've built and the majority of the fans that go there are just looking to go for a day out. You know, they're looking to go for a day out. They want to buy their beers. They want to have a good time. They don't want to get involved in all this stuff that we're talking about. If you look at the away fans that go, the 3,000 away fans that go on a regularity, it's more likely you'll get them on board. But out of the 60,000 Spurs fans that go home regularly, you're just going to get a small portion of them, and it's not enough. The majority just want a day out.
Ben, you're bang on the money, and that's what and that's why I say, and I know it upsets people. I don't do it to upset people. I say it because it's the truth, and that's why everything you've just said, I blame the fans. I blame Levy for what he's created and what he's put us into from a footballing perspective as fans, what we want as a football fan that wants to see Spurs win trophies. But you have to now point the finger at the fans and say, you are accepting this because you don't take any action, which is why I've said, and I keep posting it on my channel, I'm tired of YouTube channels, debate, balanced conversation. There's no balance after 3 decades. After 3 decades, there's ample evidence as to why we should all be uniting against this ownership. Right? YouTubers and podcasters and fans in the comments and fans on social media, the moaning and the whinging but we're debating, we're discussing. Enough. We're just going around in circles. Stand up and take action. But I agree. Someone needs to unify it. I'm not that guy, and I'm more than capable of being self-aware and holding up my hands and saying I can't be that guy. I'd love to be that guy, but I'm not going to bring everyone together. But I'll fight for the cause. I'll be on the front line. I'll be in the trenches. But we need a general, and I don't know who that is. I mean, I wish Bill Nick was alive. If Bill Nick was alive, oh my God, we'd be fine. He'd lead us into battle against Levy and Enoch all day long. But Ben, you're right. You're right. But I'm just going to keep doing what I do and Enoch out, Levy out, make noise. Hopefully the channel grows and it gains more traction, and then I can try and get more fans to think, it is the owners. I do think right now, though, guys, we are in a space where I do believe, I could be wrong, I do believe a lot more fans than ever before are now saying, do you know what? I've had enough of the owners. I have actually had enough of the owners. I do believe a lot more people are on that tightrope. I think it began once they realised 3 years later, after sacking Poch, it was a bad move. I think sacking Jose before a cup final, I think that took a lot of people over the edge. The Conte debacle was the first time we had the big Levy out chants in the stadium, and the media were covering it, and the protests were getting slightly bigger. This time, it could be the tipping point, Ben. Sin.
I don't know. As much as I like, I don't know. I think obviously at the moment we're not doing well in the league, and the chatter about Levy out it seems to be growing. I don't know if there's any more now as there would have been when Conte was sacked, or when Mourinho was sacked, when there was a Super League and all these different things. I think again it's a snapshot in time. As you say, we'll win the next 3 games, it probably quietens down again, and no one's talking about it. Like, I think right now maybe there's building up again, but I just don't think there's a massive appetite for it in general, to be honest.
Do you not feel though, Stellios, that whenever this kind of debate comes up again and you start hearing the chants in stadiums and all that, he ultimately always ends up sacking the manager? And what happens when he sacks the manager is a new manager comes in, people get a little bit happy again, and then it quietens down, new hope starts to seep in through the fan base, then we're back to square one again.
This time I think might be different for one reason only. I've never seen such love and defense for a manager at Spurs ever. The amount of people that protect Ange, I've never seen anything like it.
Apart from maybe Pochettino, surely.
Pochettino, because he was doing great.
Yeah.
Ange isn't doing great and he's getting love. And he's doing worse than Conte, Mourinho, and Nuno. Ange has been a joke, right? I'm going to say it as it is. Ange is an absolute joke. Yet he gets a lot of protection and a lot of fans defending him still. And where were these excuses for those?
But has he not had a bigger job than maybe some of the other managers to do?
We've spent more money. He's got a better squad than what the last two managers had. He's been given a lot more freedom to get away with it. You know, if this was Conte, Jose, Nuno, they would have been sacked a month ago. Ange is getting a lot more.
Yeah, because their remit was different. They have a different remit to Ange has. Ange was, rebuild the playing style, get a younger, make up for losing Harry Kane, let's be honest, how many times did Harry Kane used to bail us out of games when we were playing terribly? We lost Harry Kane, so you had to make up for that. You have to, integrate younger players into this squad, a lot younger players than maybe in previous years. Head like a complete new project, basically starting again after 5 years in the wilderness. He was being tasked with completely starting like a new kind of project or a new way of playing and a new everything, basically. And I think fans at the moment, the reason why I wouldn't even say there's a lot of love. It's more just why fans are not calling for his head when maybe in previous managers they would have been at the same spot is we've started this project. Yes, we're 18 months into it and we're 11th at the table and it's not looking good. But let's just stick with it. We've seen other clubs stick with managers through very, very choppy times and come through the other side. And we're sick of just when things are going wrong, all we're doing is always changing the manager. We sack him. We're starting again from we start again from the beginning. And all we have and we're sick of just not basically see it through to the end of the season at least. If we're still in 11th come the end of the season, then fair enough, maybe end it. But we're mid-season. We're sick of mid-season sackings. We're sick of just ending things when we go through a bad period, when it looks like things are bad, when we can just persevere through these choppy times and come through the other side and see where we are. We all talk about at the beginning of the season, trophy. We haven't even given him, if we sack him now, we haven't given him a chance to win a trophy. We're sacking him before he even gets the opportunity. So we might as well just persevere. Look, if things go badly, then things go badly, but there's no point at this point. What's the upside in sacking him? We might make a little run or something in the short term, and then we just await for things to go bad again. Because whatever manager comes through, there are going to be some rocky times. There's going to be some time where it looks bad, and at this point, it's looking bad. I don't disagree with a lot of things what you're saying in terms of we're 11th in the table. We've had some very bad defeats, but I think fans are just sick of not persevering with something that we've started. And we've started this. We've gone on this journey, as you call it, with younger players and whatnot. You might as well just persevere with it. I don't see the upside in sacking him. I just don't see it. As much as we might get a bit of short-term gain, maybe with, do we turn it around potentially in the short term and stuff like that. If we're gonna have any chance of catching up with teams above us, we've seen it before. It needs to be a long-term thing. I think that's the best job this club anyway, because we're not going to spend the money. So how you make up with not spending the money is spending the time of building up younger players, and that's the best chance we have if we're not going to spend the money. And you're not going to do that by continuing to sack managers mid-season.
We are spending the money. Sim,
We're not spending the required money to bridge the gap, because yes, he spent 400 million, but while spending that 400 million, the wage bill is decreasing and decreasing and decreasing.
Right, but then we go and waste £165,000 a week on Timo Werner. So the wages are being misspent as well. Some of the wages at this club are being misspent as well. Sim, I've listened to everything you just said, right? And I'm so glad you said that. I hear very similar from other fans, okay? And listen, you know I like you, Sim, right? I like you.
Thanks, Still.
Okay. All right. It's important I say that because I want to tear apart everything you just said.
I like you, but I'm going to destroy your life right now.
You know, we're going to clip up this interview and it's going to be Stell says, can't fault the ownership. That'll be the tagline.
Leave it in. There you go.
Oh, there you go. You can clip that.
I am now leaving in. Stell.
Everything you just said, for me,
I
disagree. And I'll tell you why. First of all, who told you this is a project? Who said that?
Ange.
Ange said this is a project, yeah?
Yeah, he did, didn't he? He said it many times.
But it is a project. It's the reality.
He said it. He has said it as soon as he came in. That's what it is.
All right, it's a project. So then why is he saying to us, in my second season, I want to challenge for the title?
Because he's an ambitious guy.
But it's a project. On the one hand, give it time, it's a project. On the other hand, challenge for the title. So
he wanted to challenge for the title in his first season. That's just the kind of guy he is. Doesn't mean it's not a project.
That's not a project. Of course it's not a project. If we're saying give him time, it's a project, then don't say stuff like that. Don't build up the expectations of the fans, right?
No one was expecting us to win the league.
I came on here 6 months ago and told you it's not happening. I told you the whole thing was going to fall apart. Ange says one thing, then contradicts himself. Do you honestly believe, if you look at all of his signings, the players we have signed are the caliber of player where you see this team becoming something great?
I don't know. That's my point. I don't know. It was all about what I see. It's about sticking with it and finding out instead of just sacking him. That's the whole point. It's a snapshot in time. We're 11th. In a few weeks' time, maybe we win 3 in a row and we're back up to 5th, and it looks very different. Maybe we win. We go far in the Europa League and we actually give that a go. Maybe we win a cup. I don't know, but we're in December.
Like I can guarantee you, we ain't winning 3 games in a row anytime soon.
Okay, whatever. But I'm willing to stick with it. I'm just willing to stick with it.
I know you do. It's desperation. It's desperation because what we've done.
Part of it is, yeah, probably, but I'm sick of.
There you go. There's the problem. Yeah. Right? This is what fans are doing right now. They're saying things like, "We can't keep sacking managers." But what if we've hired the wrong manager for the project? Then we do need to sack the manager. Do you know what the most Spursy thing is? We are backing the manager we shouldn't be backing. The one time you shouldn't be backing a manager, we're backing him. You should have backed Jose. You should have backed Poch for the rebuild. You should have backed Mourinho because Poch proved to us he was bloody good. Mourinho, Conte, they had so much credit in the bank.
Yeah, maybe we shouldn't have sacked them either. Maybe we shouldn't have sacked them either. I don't know, but I'm just saying right now we've sacked them. That's gone. That's happened.
What we should, yeah, but this is my point. Because we didn't back them and they were the right horses to back, we now put the wrong horse in place and we're saying back him. No.
I said back Conte. Even before we sacked him, we were very consistent on this channel that we wanted Conte to stay and we should back him.
Tim, you said we've seen with previous managers that if you hold on to them, it works. I'm guessing you're talking about Klopp, Arteta, people like that, yeah? Fergie. Is that what you're referring to? Managers
there were some examples, yeah.
Right. Arteta won an FA Cup in his first 6 months with a squad that he didn't even want. He got rid of that entire squad. Only one person survived, Saka. That says they weren't good enough. But yet with that squad that wasn't good enough, he won the FA Cup, a very difficult domestic cup to win, beating City and Chelsea on the way. He put credit in the bank. He showed that there was something about him. When you look at Jurgen Klopp, he got to 2 finals in his first season. He showed there's something about me. And then he changed the whole squad. This is the first season. This is Ange's second. Sir Alex Ferguson in his second season came second with a bang average Man United team. So these managers, they put credit in the bank. What did Ange show us in his first season? How to capitulate and bottle top four. What's he showing us in the second season? When the going gets tough, he doesn't know what to do. What has this manager shown to deserve my backing? When you compare him to the other managers that did get time, that clubs did stick with, they showed something. They showed progress.
The season's not over.
Sim, we're not winning the league, are we?
No.
Right. Do you honestly believe we're going to win a cup with this kind of football that destroys players in terms of energy?
This is exactly the kind of football that could win a cup.
Ben, all it is one good team that comes in with the right tactic and they've got us. And we know it because we've seen lesser teams do it to us. We are hoping. We're doing it again. We are hoping. When Poch was here, we went into games. You knew, you believed that we could win it. Every fan right now.
And how many cups did we win? Was that were we saying Poch's football didn't win a cup because that kind of football can't win a cup? Like it didn't win because either we got unlucky, but it wasn't because of the football we played. Like that could have won a cup as well. We just didn't. I'm just saying this football from Ange could definitely win a cup because on our day we could be a very good team.
All right. Sim, who would you rather have as manager at Spurs, Poch or Ange?
Poch.
There you go. So
what does that mean?
Criticize Poch for not winning a trophy.
I'm not criticizing that wasn't a criticism. That wasn't a criticism of Poch. That wasn't a criticism of Poch. What I said.
So what was the point you're making then?
You're saying how are we going to win a cup with this football? You're saying. And I was arguing, is the football Poch played, is that just because it didn't win one, does that mean it can't win a cup? You know what I mean? I'm saying Ange's football can win a cup.
In the Carabao Cup, right, there's a very good chance, if we beat Man United, let's see, you never know, if we beat Man United, we are going to get
Man
Liverpool,
United.
Arsenal. Okay, Ben, I just want to give Sim some energy here, right? I want to play his game. If we beat
you
Man
want to
United,
dangle a carrot?
I'm going to give him the carrot. If we play Man United, we are going to come up against Liverpool or Arsenal. Sim, I'll bet my house they knock us out. I bet my house we don't beat them with football. This football we play, they will pick us off. There is no doubt in my mind.
Can we have that in writing? Could do with the house.
So, listen, clip this video. You clipped the one 6 months ago. That all came true. Clip this one as well. We are not going to beat those caliber of teams playing this type of football. We will get found out. I mean, I don't believe we're signing the quality of players that can take us to the levels that Ange thinks that we can achieve. I don't think it's sustainable. I don't think that he's got credit in the bank or he's proven anything to me to compare to what I've seen from previous managers that were given time. I don't believe that this is Project Youth either. What? Because Archie Gray and Bergvall get a couple of minutes in Europe. That's not Project Youth. Play Archie Gray as the 6 in the Premier League when we're not playing well. Bring on Bergvall and give him half a game instead of 10 minutes at the end. Right? That would be more of a Project Youth for me. And it's not 2 youngsters. Bring 3 or 4 through. But he doesn't do that. And this notion of, and again, look, it's opinion, Sim. If you want to back him and you want to go down that road, then, you can do it. There's many other fans that do it as well. But for me, the most Spursy thing right now that we're doing is we can't keep sacking managers, so we're going to stick with a manager that is most probably the wrong one. I don't think Ange is the right guy because tactically, he's inept. We've been outdone by Silva, Herzler. We've been outdone by Areola. We've been outdone by what's his name? The guy
McKenna.
McKenna's outdone us. These managers have outflanked Ange. Fulham played Arsenal the other day. When we played Fulham, they were very attacking. In fact, all season Fulham have been attacking. When they played Arsenal, they changed the way they played. And after the game, the manager said, we had to change because it was Arsenal. That's what I'm talking about. And the most frustrating thing of all is, Ange, when we went to Man City, whether Man City pushed us back or whether we adapted, we were much deeper. We weren't mucking around with the ball at the back every minute. We did send balls long and wide. It's how we scored the first goal, Kulusevski. Dragusin sent a long ball out wide, and then we went in for the goal. And we were far more compact. The fullbacks weren't inverting as much. And I thought, right, well done, Ange. You've adapted. You've got no Van de Ven. You've got no Romero. You've adapted. And that was our best performance of the season, given the circumstances. I better bite my tongue here, because if Ange does that again, we might have a solution out of this mess. But he reverts back to type. And we lose to Ipswich. We can't beat Roma. We get beaten by Galatasaray. We looked absolutely woeful last night. It's him. That is on him, guys. And I don't understand why we're so scared to say it for what it is. Look, for me, I think Ange is a problem. I think Lange, the recruitment officer, is a problem. And I think Levy and Enoch need to go. I don't think it's just one thing. I think it's all of them that are a problem. But of course, the common denominator is Levy and Enoch. So they will always be the biggest problem. Always. And you're right. If we get rid of Ange and we bring in another manager, will things change? Well, I don't think we'll win anything, but I think we'll have a better chance and be in a better position in the league, because another manager that's a bit more tactically savvy definitely gets a better tune out of what I'm seeing right now. There's no doubt in my mind. And I think the players are giving up. I think that, Romero's comments, now he's digging out Timo. We've seen this all before. I don't understand why we can't just say, do you know what? Ange might just be the wrong guy, man. Maybe he's just the wrong guy. But then, yes.
The reality is, if this carries on, he will lose his job. So whatever you want to say about him, whatever we want to say about him, if this carries on for another week or another 3 weeks, 4 weeks, whatever it may be, the guy will lose his job. But I don't want to sit here and focus on it and call for Ange's head, because I just think that's masking away from what the real problem is. Bigger managers, better managers have all come here through this door and not done any better or any worse than Ange Postecoglou. Still haven't won a trophy. We might finish fourth on a lucky year under Conte, but Mourinho didn't finish inside the top four, finished seventh or whatever it may be. Ange finished fifth in his first season. Bigger managers and better managers are coming in here and doing the same, Lan. Exactly the same. So
they're not.
They are.
Phenomenal. Mourinho got to a cup final. Conte got us top four against all the odds. And then the following season when he left...
Mourinho got us to a cup final. Ange hasn't had a chance to do it. Give him a chance.
No, because the football wasn't...
No,
we weren't
there you go. Well, come on.
No, because he's got no credit in the bank. Mourinho was a proven winner everywhere he's been. He had credit in the bank. You want me to back him just because I gave other managers a chance? Other managers earned their stripes.
The club isn't going anywhere. The club isn't going anywhere under this ownership. There's no point in sacking the manager. There is no point.
Okay. But I've just said to you guys, there is a point, because I think another manager actually gives us a better chance of Europe. I do believe that. I think a better manager gets more out of this team from a tactical aspect. He's killing Udogie and Porro, man. He's rinsing them.
We don't have options. Upwards. We don't have options either.
Whose decision was it not to put Reguilón and Spence in the squad for Europe?
Well, yeah, Ange has definitely got to take the flak for that 100%. It's a disgrace that Spence ain't in the sole. And it's a disgrace he's not been played in the Premier League either.
Oh, but then Forster wouldn't be there.
Well, at least Premier League.
Yeah, listen, these are tactical decisions that he has to live by. He created this mess. You've got two fullbacks in the club that don't start, and you didn't want to put one in the Europa Cup squad. So if you got an injury in Europe, Ange, to a fullback, what's your plan?
There is no plan.
So he sticks the number 6, who costs 40 million, into the right back. And then we're supposed to say, oh, but give Ange a chance. No. He had a whole year to suss this stuff out. He had a whole year to map this out. And when I came on the show back in June, I said to you guys, we, by signing Timo Werner, are setting a marker of what's to come. And all the journalists, they sold this dream to the fans, all these wonderful players we were going to sign. And I said, no, we're not. Look, can you not read what this club does? How many times have we been here before in the past? And it played out exactly as I said. And then, even then, fans were saying, trust in Ange, my manager.
Has he had what he
trust
needs
the
to succeed
process.
in the job, though?
Ben, if he hasn't been given the tools, then he needs to walk. Instead, he sits here taking all the flack, saying it's on me, my decisions. Fine, then own it, man. Own it. Conte, he's like, do you know what? I'm done. And he blew the lid off of it. He absolutely nailed everyone. I'd rather Ange did that and walked and said, this isn't what I signed up for. This isn't the agreement that I had. I never wanted Werner. They did. But I had to accept him because it was that or nothing. Ange, then tell us, because if you do come out and say that, everyone will get behind you and everyone will turn on the board. But what he's doing now, he's giving Levy a get-out pass. By doing what Ange is doing now, he's basically saying to some fans, blame me. And then we go back to the problem.
Well,
that
there'll
you
be two
mentioned.
get-out passes then, because there's get-out pass for him staying in the job because he's providing a shield for them, and then there'll be a get-out pass for when he gets sacked and the new manager comes in, and then new hope comes in. So there's always going to be a get-out clause for Enoch and Levy.
I think, though, like I said to you, I've never seen a manager so loved and protected who's done nothing to deserve it than this guy, which makes me think if Levy sacks him, I think the fans will turn on Levy. I think there's enough. Look, I don't like using this word, but it's the word that gets used. Angesexuals, right? We said it for Jose. We said there was Jose sexuals. But there's enough Angesexuals in this fan base that will turn, I think. That will say, no, you took my Ange away. You took my project away. You took the thing that I put
This
all
is
my
is
hope
this
onto.
is this why you want
took
Ange
that
sacked?
away.
Is this the real ulterior motive?
I want him sacked. One, because I don't think he's good enough. In fact, I think his tactics are abysmal. And two, yeah, I think it makes everyone go Levy out as well. It's a win-win if he gets sacked for me, because I think that's the way it will go. But
I don't know. I don't think it will make everyone. I think maybe in the short term it will, but then a new manager will come in, a new hope will come in, and then everyone will just forget about it.
yeah, but then you're saying to all the fans and all the YouTubers and all the podcasters and all the people in the comments, you're saying to all those people that backed this project, that got on board with this project, that were happy that Conte was gone, that have been so loyal to this project, to now ditch everything they've said and ditch everything they believed in, and
They have no choice to.
get that happened.
They'll have no choice to.
You're
Because that's
right.
what the situation
You're
they'll
right.
be in.
But my belief is they're not going to stomach another project, another process. I honestly think fans will not stomach another new project because, like you said, Ben, they know in 18 months' time it will collapse. They know it will. I know it will. And that's why they're so sticking by Ange, more so in defiance to not wanting to go back to another project, rather than actually saying, well, hold on, what if this guy's the wrong man for the project?
Well, we were just so used to abandoning projects. Well, there's just no point abandoning another one. You might as well stick with it, even if it's bad right now. Just stick with it, and just that's our best hope,
Why?
I think.
Why would you stick with it? Why would you stick with a failing process? Like, do you know what this is like saying? Do you know what we're doing here? It's like you're married. You've had 5 divorces and you're on your 6th marriage. And the missus comes home and she says, I'm really sorry, but I cheated on you. You're like, what? Yeah, I cheated on you. And then you're thinking about what to do. You need time to digest it. And then the next day she comes home and says, I cheated on you again. I can't go through another divorce. I can't get rid of another person in my life. But what if she's told you she's the wrong person? What if the signs are she's the wrong person? Because of the past, you're not going to repeat it. Well, you keep either picking the wrong people.
But you've had some great days together.
This is the problem, right? I would divorce her immediately. Sim would be thinking, oh, do you remember that time, darling, when we went to Chessington World of Adventures? We had a good day out, didn't we?
I want more of those days.
But she doesn't want to with you. She'd rather do it with other guys, Sim. That's my point. It's like...
Okay, this analogy's broken down now. I don't know how that makes sense.
Because Sim still wants her. It broke down because Sim still wants her, which is why, my argument of why can't we get rid of another manager? this argument is kind of
we can, but I think what people are seeing, yes, we're clearly very inconsistent, and right now the form is terrible. I don't think anyone can deny that. But when we were playing well, you know, we do play very well, and he can get us to playing at a very high level. So is it worth just hoping he can somehow get some consistency in this team and get us to that level more consistently, or is it just saying just bin it all off because at the moment we're in bad form and we've been inconsistent for a year, so just bin it all off now and hope that a new project and hope a new manager can get us some short-term gain.
You say at the moment we're in bad form, but when have we been in good form?
When have we been in good form?
This manager, after the first 10 games he had, it's been a disaster. We've got abysmal stats. We've got woeful statistics of his performance. What's happened this year is we had some really exciting performances against Villa, West Ham, Man City, and we look at that and we completely ignore the other 13 league
No
games.
one's ignoring it. No one's ignoring it.
No, what you're doing is you're focusing on the minority of good times and not actually admitting the majority has been abysmal. It has been shocking. And we've got away with murder, by the way. That Coventry game, we got away with murder. We're lucky we're in the Carabao Cup. Fine, we're in it. Winning is winning. I can't.
And who saved us that day still? Who saved us that day?
Ange.
No, Jed Spence.
Yeah, it was Jed Spence and Brennan Johnson. They both saved us. Kulu, those three saved us. You're right. Listen, the point overall that I'm making is, and it's why I wanted to come on. 6 months ago, when I came on your show, I just knew in my heart of heart, if we re-signed Timo Werner, I knew what was coming next. I'm not surprised by this because if there was a genuine project, a real plan in place, what they would have done, if they really gave a shit, this is what they would have done. They would have said, right, first season over, we bottled top four, the first team isn't quite good enough, the bench isn't strong enough, but hey, we're back in Europe. It's a positive. Let's go and get 3 or 4 game changers, actual game changers.
But I feel that's what Ange wanted, though. That is what Ange wanted. He wanted a Pedro Neto. He wanted a Conor Gallagher. He wanted a Emergence Eze.
Did he?
He did.
Who knows?
I'm pretty certain he did.
I don't believe what the journalists say half the time. For me, if you can't get those elite players or those really good players, then do what other clubs do and have exceptional scouting. We scouted Van der Ven. Why can't we scout like that again and again and again? Go and get 3 or 4 players of Van der Ven's level who we haven't heard of, who are brilliant. Exactly what Brighton do. Exactly what other clubs do. And then bring them in and you say, right, we've got those 4 excellent players. They go into the first team. They're going to replace A, B, and C, and D. A, B, C, and D, you're now on the bench. We've strengthened the bench. We've now strengthened the bench by doing that. And then the weak ones on the bench, bye-bye, get out. But we didn't do that. We signed one guy for the first team, and the rest are on the bench. So they're not developing. They're not getting enough minutes. What we did, that is not a project. It made no sense what we did this summer. And as soon as we signed Werner, I said, no project has Timo Werner in it. No intelligent human being can look at Werner after last season and say, that's a good idea. Let's keep Timo Werner. And what's he doing now? He's throwing Werner under a bus. Buddy, don't bullshit me about project and stop talking to me about what you're going to do at this football club. That is on you. And I knew it as soon as we re-signed it. I'm not surprised this has happened because I said word for word this is going to happen. I said at some point, the wheels are going to come flying off. And what we'll do is we'll probably navigate through it, get our shit back together, and then it'll come crashing down again. And that's what I believe will happen. But this is worse than what I thought, by the way.
Where do you think we should even be finishing this season, like in terms of the strength of the squad?
Well, the same group of players plus without the new signings finished 5th last season.
Yeah,
So
but you
fifth
also
should be
had,
the minimum target.
but you also have emergence of other teams like Chelsea, who are a lot better and a lot better than us, that were poor last season.
Well, last season, the Spurs fans said, and Gary Neville said, that they're a £1 billion bottle job, and that they've randomly wasted money on lots of players. And I was told spending big doesn't work. Look at Chelsea. No, what Chelsea did was their manager improved them towards the end of the season. Pochettino improved them, and he got them to cup finals in his first season. A new manager came in and took them to the next level. And that's what I believe Spurs need to do. You've got an average group of players. Ange is going to continue accepting average groups of players because he never came in to spend money on superstars. He came in because look at his work in the past and the type of players he signed. We thought we're going to unearth all these gems from Asia and the continents that we don't know what type of players exist over there. And Ange is going to turn everyone into a gem. What player has he developed other than Kulu? You tell me, hand on your heart, who's he really developed into a top player other than Kulusevski this season?
Fraser Forster.
Jesus Christ. All right, I'll give it to him. Let's give him Forster because, listen, he's proven me wrong for sure. Fair play to Forster. But has Udogie improved? Has Porro improved? Has Romero? Has Van der Ven? Has Dragusin? Has Sarr? Has Basuma? Has Maddison? Have any of these players improved?
I think as of this season, I don't think any of them have improved on last season apart from Deki. Ben Davis and Forster are the only ones. Brennan.
Yeah, but listen, Brennan's improved his goal ratio, but as a football player, he's gone backwards. He's getting worse. As a footballer, he's trash. His goal ratio, fair play, he's improved. See, Sim, he hasn't improved anyone, but you want to keep him in hope that one day you get to go to Chessington with him.
The reality is, like, you take Arteta's FA Cup out of it, though, in the first 2.5 years, Arsenal fans were saying a lot of the same things about Arteta. Arteta out, 8 losses in a row. This guy's tactically inept. I mean, a lot of fans were saying that about Arteta. And then he finally got the team that he wanted. But I just don't believe Ange will ever get the team that he wants.
But Arteta, you say, forget the FA Cup he won. No. That's what bought him those 2 years. The reason the board gave him those 2 years is because that FA Cup put credit in the bank, right? If he hadn't won that FA Cup, I don't believe he'd still be here. And also, Arteta got a little bit lucky that COVID happened and there were no fans in the stadium pissed off, angry, and just losing their minds. So Arteta caught a bit of life, but like I said, he put credit in the bank. He showed with a group of players that aren't his, I can win a trophy. So the board looked at him and said, you know what? You've won silverware without your players. Let's give you your players. It's going to take 3-4 years, but show us. What's
yeah, but I don't buy that because still, I don't buy that because if Ange Postecoglou would have won a trophy in his first season, yeah, and then in the next 2 years he's finishing eighth, nowhere near any sort of trophies. Are you going to sit there and be like, all right, this guy's the right man for us because he won a trophy in his first year, but the next 2 years have been absolutely dog shit?
If Postecoglou won a trophy last season, right now I'd be saying, guys, don't sack him. We're still in the Carabao. We're still in Europa. He's proven he can do it. Keep him.
Yeah, but if he lost 8 games in a row and finished 8th in 2 consecutive years after that, would you still be saying that?
If we were in the Cups, I would still be saying that.
Because Arteta was going out in the early rounds of the Cup in those 2 years after the FA Cup win.
Okay, but he was rebuilding his team, and he earned the right to do it because he showed what he can do without his team. Just like Klopp in his first season, without his team, he got to 2 finals. Fergie, without his team, came second in the league. And with 10 new signings, bottled top 4, 5 more signings, this is abysmal. Like, I don't think it's right that we compare Ange to managers that put credit in the bank. But we are doing that. We're being Spursy.
Well, points-wise, after 50 games, they're very similar.
Yeah, but they were rebuilding off the back of managers putting credit in the banks in. I don't think you're listening to what I'm saying. They earned the right to do it. They earned the right to be given that period of time and for people to just, bite their lip. Ange hasn't earned that. Ange has shown us when the going gets tough, we collapse.
But they came into clubs that consistently win trophies. They came into clubs that consistently win trophies. We don't.
Ben, whether a club consistently wins trophies or not, it's what the manager does with the group of players that he's got. Ten Hag, the only reason he got the third season is because he won the trophy in the first season. And the only reason he never got sacked last season, because he was shocking, was because he won another trophy. He bought himself credit and he put credit in the bank.
All right, so give Ange a chance to win a trophy instead of sacking him mid-season. That's all I'm saying. He might not be the guy, but I'm just willing to wait it out. I'm not willing to sack him right now. It's not. I just don't see the point.
Okay. All right. Just look at decisions in key moments.
Oh, okay.
Last season, Carabao Cup. You don't care because it's the truth. You don't want to have this debate.
No, yes, we've been through this round. We've been, I know he rested players in the Carabao Cup and we went out. I know all this stuff.
That resting of players was Ange's tactical brain. Last season, playing Skip at left back, when we said Salah's going to rinse us if we do that, he does it still. Or playing Ben Davies there in another game. We could see what's going to happen, but tactically, he still does it. This season, we said, stop the inverted fullbacks. We don't have to always have a high line. We don't always need to play out from the back. He still does it. We're not losing games. We're not playing badly simply because of injuries or because he wasn't backed. Tactically, he's doing no favors for anyone. That's what I'm pointing out. He's tactically inept.
I don't disagree with you to a certain extent, but on the same side, I'm just going to take it back to what I said before. All sacking him is going to do is create another mask for this ownership, and I promise you might think there'll be an uprising after Ange Postecoglou gets sacked for this board. There might be a short-term one, but fans will forget it very quickly and they'll move on and they'll start backing the new manager and then the cycle continues. That's all that's going to happen.
Okay, so we need... Ben, I'll ask you one question. Both you and Sim, and then we can end it because I don't want to tire Sim out, right? I don't want to spend everyone consuming everyone, right? No, because it can get exhausting. I get it. It's happening across the fan base. People are fed up. I appreciate it. I'll ask you one question. You guys stick with the project. Don't sack him. Keep him. All right. You're allowed to have that view.
No, thank you.
Many fans have the same view, right? What is your breaking point then with this manager? Right, we're already broken with the owners. We've already said we want the owners gone. We're fed up with them. We're sick to death of leaving Enoch. It's up to the fan base whether they rise or whether they just make noise and that's all they ever do. With this manager specifically, what's your breaking point? If we lose to Southampton, crash out the Carabao Cup to Man United.
I'm broken already still. I don't need a breaking point. I'm completely broken already. This football club broke me weeks ago, man. I've passed my breaking point.
Breaking point when you say, do you know what? Actually, get rid of the manager. In fact, now it's gone too far. Because, like I said, if we lose to Southampton, which I don't think we will, go out the Carabao Cup, lose to Liverpool, and then let's say lose or draw with Wolves as well. Suddenly we're 15th. The teams we battered, like West Ham and Man United, they're now 3-4 points above us. We're out of a domestic cup, the easiest one to win. At that point, will you two still say there's no point sacking Ange, or would you be like, no, we got to get rid of him now? This is ridiculous. What I want to know where your point of I've had enough of this manager is. Where's your breaking point?
I've asked this question a lot, Stellios. I've asked this question a lot about a breaking point, and I've been one. I don't know if you've watched any of the content over the past 2 weeks, but I've been heavily critical of Ange Postecoglou. And in terms of in terms of where my breaking point is with Ange, I think this club is beyond broken, and I don't think it. Like I've said before, I don't think it matters who the manager of this football club is at this moment in time. I really don't. And if I'm going to say when is the right time to sack Ange, I'll probably say when this season is completely dead and we're out the cups and we're going absolutely nowhere in the league. That's probably when the right time is to sack him.
What does nowhere in the league mean, Ben? Sorry, what does that mean? What is that? Mid-table, relegation?
Mid-table, and a long way off. When it looks untenable for the top 5, let's say.
So really, we need to be kind of 11th, 12th, and about 12, 15 points off of 5th, something like that.
Yeah, maybe even a bit less than that. Maybe 7.
Okay, well, that could be in 2 weeks' time then. So in 2 weeks' time, potentially...
It could be, but I also said out of all the cups.
All right, so then that's going to be... Oh, freaking hell, we're going to be here till May. Or Feb,
You're lucky I don't run this club, Stel.
Yeah, well, my channel will get shut down. You'd shut it, you'd get rid of it. Sack Stel. What about you, Sim? By the way, that was a joke. I didn't mean that. Sim, what about you? Are you the same as Ben then? Are you... kind of
look, I want to give him the season. Or... Obviously, if it gets to like March time and we're out of Europa League, we're out of Carabao, we're nowhere in the league, we're out of the FA Cup as well, then at that point I'll sit here and say I'd like he's not even got any hope of having a successful season. Of course, we want this season to be a success. If we get close in a few things and we just fall short near the end, then that's one thing. But if we're out of everything come March, and we're still like 11th in the table, and we're out of all the cups, then yeah, I'd have to say that's nowhere near good enough. And right now, it's obviously nowhere near good enough. I'm not saying 11th is acceptable, but as long as it's so tight and as long as we're in all the cups, he's got a chance for me to turn it around, and I'm willing to give him that opportunity. I'd rather do that than sack him and hope that it turns around with a new manager. Because I just don't see the point in doing that right now. I think our best hope is to try and stay on a long-term path if we can. And I think right now there's still a pathway for that. So I'm going to stick with it.
And also on top of that, Stel, I don't think we get in any competent manager midway through this season.
Yeah, we'll probably have to turn to Mason.
Man United paid the money and got Amorim in. Arteta joined Arsenal mid-season.
He was an assistant manager. Yeah, we could get an assistant manager if we want one, sure.
Amorim was the first team manager at Sporting Lisbon. So basically, you guys don't think that we could bring in a manager now that does a better job with this current crop of players? You don't think that?
I can't see who's going to leave. Who's going to leave? You're going to get Iraola out of Bournemouth right now? I don't think so.
Why would you not leave Bournemouth if Spurs came calling? And you can offer...
Because Spurs just seems like a poison chalice at the moment. Like, why would he leave? He's got a good thing going on at Bournemouth right now. He's only joined recently. Why would he leave?
Because he's got more chance of doing something at a bigger club than Bournemouth. What's he going to achieve at Bournemouth?
I think maybe he'll look at it at the end of the season, but I don't think halfway through the year when he's looking like he's doing a really good job there.
Okay. Last question and then I'll stop. If we could get him out of Bournemouth, right? We're talking fictitiously. If we could price him out of Bournemouth now, would you take him?
I don't think right now Iraola, with the injuries we have, gets more out of his squad physically. Like, I don't see... he's just as intense manager. He demands aggression and physicality, and clearly we're struggling with that at the moment. So I don't think right now he gets more out of the players at this point in time. Look, obviously... Does he lose to Ipswich and Palace and blah, blah, blah? I don't know. But I'm just saying, at this point in time, I don't think much changes right now whilst the squad's in the state it is.
So basically you're saying Areola can't get a better tune out of these players that we've currently got?
I'll tell you what, Stel, if Pochettino was available now, I'll take him back right now.
I would take any manager on this planet that wasn't scared to be defensive as well as attacking. I would honestly we've gone from one extreme to another extreme, and there's no balance with the manager. The most balanced managers we've had were Redknapp and Pochettino. I think Conte could have been balanced, but he needed his specific players to do it. But we've gone from very pragmatic defenders and managers, and I understand why they were like that with the players that they were given. But we've gone from one extreme to the complete other, and it exposes us in so many ways. And Ange, for me, isn't going to budge from that. And this is going to continue to happen whilst he's at the club. I want a manager who's got balance. Someone that can say, do you know what? Yes, we're going to attack. Yes, we're going to try and be exciting. But I'm not going to negate the defensive responsibilities that are required at this level of football that I'm operating in, which is the Premier League. Because that's why teams like Ipswich can beat us. That's why teams like Crystal Palace can beat us, because you neglect not just setting us up to be defensive in phases, but the individual development of the players, the defenders, is woeful. For me this season, just forget the tactics. As individuals, one-on-one, Udogie, Porro, Van de Ven, Romero have all gone backwards as defenders. And that
I agree.
is coaching.
I agree.
And that's why
I do
want
agree.
to manager, guys, because I don't think he's going to change that. I don't believe he'll fix that. So, but that's
But the but also, let's just get it right. The anger, I think, when we're giving anger towards Ange Postecoglou, we all know where it should be mainly placed at, and that's the ownership. And I don't think we should tide away from that. I really don't. I think it should be continued to be targeted towards the owners and not the manager.
Listen, Levy out, Enoch out before anything else. They've had 30 years to show the love, care, attention, hunger, and desire for the football team, the way they've shown it for the architecture, the finances, and building their wealth portfolio. They hire the managers, they hire the recruitment teams, they put in the networks so that these people can operate in, and they hire the football directors. It is on the board. If you said to me tomorrow, get rid of Levy but keep Ange, I will be Ange in. I will be so Ange in if I knew Levy was going tomorrow. But do I think Ange is the solution? No, I don't. So I want them all gone. But Ben, I 100% agree with you. I want this wretched ownership gone, man. And the question isn't, are you Levy out? Are you Levy in? The question is, have you got the appetite to roll the dice and take a chance on a new ownership? Because let's have it right. As much as I'm Levy out, we could end up with a worse ownership. We could end up with Levy 2.0, or we could end up with the best ownership ever. I don't know where those chips will land. All I know is I want to give it a go because I don't want this anymore. I don't want what I've experienced under this ownership another day. And if it means we might end up with a worse ownership as much as a brilliant ownership, guys, I'm prepared to take the chance. And that's the question fans need to ask themselves. Do you want to take that chance? If the answer is yes, you've got to start protesting. You've got to start boycotting. You've got to, whatever it is that works for you, you've got to do something. But if you don't want to take the chance, stop moaning, stop complaining, and just get on with it. Because this moaning and whinging, you need to make a choice. Take a chance or not. And I think that's where it all lies. That's the big question. Are you prepared to take a chance? I think that's maybe why some people are hesitant.
All right, I think we're going to leave it there, Stellios. Thanks for coming on, mate. Been a long time coming, and we'll see you soon, my friend.
Thank you for letting me come on for 5 minutes. Appreciate it.
5 minutes, yeah. See you later, mate. And that was Stellios from Tottenham away. I think we're going to leave it there. Watch along, obviously, on Sunday. I believe it's me and Sim, unless someone steps forward and I'll be making my way to the game. But
step forward and claim your watch along space.
Exactly. Step forward, roll up, roll up. But yeah, thank you everyone for sticking around. 3.5 hour stream for you guys today. We'll see you all on Sunday. Like, subscribe, and comment. And as always, come on, you Spurs.